Calling to order the regular meeting of the CUSD Board of Education for February 27th, 2025. Welcome, everyone. First item, whoops, pardon me. Get this. All right, the first item on the agenda is roll call.
Trustee Chow.
Aye.
Trustee Chow. Trustee Leon, absent. Trustee Manhattan.
Here.
Trustee Liu.
Here. All right, thank you. Item 1.2, board agenda approval. Could I get a motion,
I'll
please?
make a motion.
Thanks, Satish.
A second.
Thanks, Long. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Zhao.
Aye.
Trustee Chow.
Aye.
Trustee Manhattan.
Aye.
Trustee Liu.
Aye. All right, the next item is the public comment for closed session item. Do we have any comments for closed session?
No, we do not.
All right, in that case then, I'm going to adjourn us to closed session. We expect to be back at 5 o'clock to start with our study session. That should be at 5 o'clock, and then the regular board meeting will start at 6 o'clock. Thanks, everyone. We're reconvening back to open session. There's nothing, we did not complete the closed session. There's nothing to report, and we'll return back to closed session at the conclusion of the open session today. With that then, I'd like to go on to item, item 5, the board study session. Who'll kick us off?
I will. Thank you. So tonight for our study session, again, just a reminder, it gives us that time prior to the board meeting to maybe dig into a couple of different topics. And as you know, safety is always one of our priorities. So tonight we wanted to do an update and sharing of information where we are with safety, and kind of do it three-pronged, because I think safety is a multifaceted. So we have an update with safety that pertains to facilities, safety that pertains to students, and then safety that pertains to staff. And so we do have a guest that will join us for part of that, but we're going to kick off initially. Chris is going to do an update with where we are with our facility safety.
Thank you. As we tee up the slides, actually I'll also introduce Todd Shimada, our Director of Maintenance and Operations and Transportation. Todd's actually doing all of the managing of our fence project, so I'll ask Todd to walk through and give us a brief update in terms of where we are with our fencing projects. So Todd.
Thank you, Chris. So on the slides, I got controls. So our group 1 sites, 9 schools: Blue Hills, Mirror, McCullough, Dilworth, Murdoch, Porchell, Stevens Creek, West Valley, Garden Gate, and Collins. I'm pleased to say that the installation is complete, all 9 sites. We're going through the closeout phase, which means submission of forms and files to DSA. Our hopes that once that's completed, we'll get certification of compliance from DSA. The certification from DSA ensures that will not experience any delays on future DSA reviewed projects. Some notes from the group 1 schools successes: all campus perimeters can now be closed and locked in the event of a shelter in place or other emergency. Student parent release and reunification can now be managed more efficiently with the fencing in the gates. Of course, with most projects construction wise, we face some challenges. Most campus layouts and student office entries are not designed for security fencing or the ease of access. Office management of gates or putting in by the office, most entry points for students are the same as for the public. It's the front door of the schools. So knowing that, we're looking at additional measures for the future. Electronic gate locks and cameras that can be installed at the entry gates and managed from the office. Additional fencing and gates at the office entry points, and then alternate and student entry doors to the office. Other challenges we see during projects are unforeseen conditions. Probably the largest one on these projects was underground utilities, things that didn't get picked up on as-built old blueprints, or even surveying that we did prior. Group 2 sites, so 5 remaining schools: Nimitz, Lincoln, Montclair, Stockholmeyer, and Eisenhower. We're entering the bidding phase. So a little update to the slide, which is good news. As of yesterday, Eisenhower's plans were approved by DSA. So we're going to bundle those with the bidding of the other four. So that's good news. Bidding phase is going to run from March 7th, first ad, which is this Friday, going to board approval on the 24th of April. Pre-bid meeting site walks are scheduled for March 19th. And we're hoping for a notice to proceed by May 9th. Construction will happen June 9th, day after work day after school is out, through August 8th, the Friday before teachers return on the 11th. Summer programming, planning committee has been informed of these projects, so everyone's well aware. Last year, the programs, projects, all the staff involved, super supportive, trying to work around different programs during the summertime. And then we'll work with the summer programs at the site during construction, just to ensure, all students, staff, and the public are safe.
I think one of the other pieces to add as we move through this process is trying to work with our communities, because our campuses are open to the community after school hours. And so that was one of the areas that we work to ensure that the community still has access. They may not have the broad breadth of access, but there is always a gate that's accessible. So after the school hours and then on the weekends, so our communities can still continue to enjoy the facilities.
All right, so at this point, should we perhaps pause for questions for this section, or how would you like to do this?
I think so, because we have Todd here up on the stand, on the podium.
All right, so let's
Sorry.
do that, and let's open up for questions on the fencing.
Yeah.
Satish,
I
please.
have a couple of questions. One is it shows only 14 school sites out of 23. Any reason what happened to the remaining 9, or it has already?
Yeah, the other school sites already had perimeter fencing, the elementary school sites. The middle schools already had fencing, although we did make some adjustments at, some of the school sites. And I think we do need to revisit. But the initial project was to make sure that all schools without perimeter fencing, we got that up.
So we are not missing any schools. By then, the group 2 sites complete. We are
All 23 schools will
schools will
have
be
perimeter
done.
fencing.
okay. That's good. The second thing is about Eisenhower, right? So we used to have some challenges, like from the public park perspective, because that's the biggest, longest one, and things like that. And Santa Clara, people use that and so on. So what happened, or is it still a question mark, or?
No, it's actually, so the plans went through DSA, were approved. Process-wise, we had a land surveyor come out to, resurvey the land to make sure that we have the property line, where it's supposed to be. So we have that documentation. Jason Bocanegra, our maintenance manager, and myself met out there with the City of Santa Clara Parks and Rec to review the layout. One of the things that we have to adjust, do is the north side of the fence line on the property line. We both have city irrigation and our district irrigation, and the head-to-head coverage of that, actually the fence runs across that. So some adjustments of the sprinkler system out there, but the city was, very, supportive of our project.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, Ava, please.
Yes. Thank you. So Todd, kind of logistical question. If there was a mistake done by the construction company in which we hired, are they responsible for the cost? They're not going to charge us for like the extra labor or materials if they have to fix
things are
with the fencing?
Yeah, if things come up, if it's identified, we go through the process of identifying, was it a design mistake? Was it a construction mistake? And then follow up with the appropriate entity, whether that's a contractor, whether that's the architect. On all the projects, we have an inspector of record who's double checking things. There were things that were caught during it and corrected, that kind of like all projects where things need to be modified. But so we have kind of the checks and balance in play.
Thank you.
Law, please.
Yeah, no, so where's the fund come from? Is that part of the bond money or?
The
If I understand the question, how was
So,
the fencing
I
project
mean, so
funded?
where's the fund for those fencing come from?
So the initial group one schools, we were using the state modernization money that we had received from the tail end of Measure H. The new fences in group two here, because now that we're getting ready to issue bonds for Measure Z, those fencing projects will be paid directly out of the Measure Z funds once we secure them.
Okay, good. Okay, and so what is DSA?
Division of the State Architect.
Okay. Okay. So
Okay, thank you.
I
Suki?
have,
Go ahead.
no,
Sounds like
because,
a
yeah, just
follow-up.
I wanted to follow up.
Sure.
Yeah, I know it's your turn,
It's okay.
but I thought that we approved some point of time, it's not from the Measure H balance, right? Some point of time that, you remember in one of the, I don't know, is it a study session or somewhere, we talked, some money will be going for the fencing, right? Some 2 million or something, which we had approved, if I remember.
So I clarify. Initially, when we brought to you the initial proposals to do the fencing project, we had shown you basically three scenarios. One, the most amount of fencing, and then the other ones depending upon cost. At that point in time, we were carving out about $2 million in the
Yeah.
general fund
Correct.
to cover that. But then as time has passed, because of changes with the general fund, we were able to shift that expense out of the general fund. So it wasn't then an obligation to the general fund because we did have some leftover monies from the state matching money that we got. So a lot of the projects under Measure H, we also were receiving state modernization money. So we got money back to reimburse us for all of the work that we've done. So we had a little bit of money left there to be able to pay for the first round of the fences. So we saved the general fund that $2 million because we had these extra state modernization monies that we had to spend anyway. And it made better sense to spend those on the fencing.
Okay, got it.
Okay, thanks. Two questions, Todd, and thank you for the update here. First one is more financial. Maybe it's for Chris. I'm just wondering, in this first group that's finished, how has the final cost compared with the original estimate of the budget that we had?
I'll have Todd talk
Okay,
about
thank you.
any of the
Yeah, as
changes.
far as the projects themselves, so the first five school contractor, Dryco, was approximately $2 million. And then for the other four schools, our other contractor, Silicon Valley Paving, it was 1.4 million.
And how did that compare to our original estimate? Was it?
It was a little bit above the original estimate. When we were looking at the project and the cost escalation,
Mhm.
when we're trying to, come up with a ballpark figure initially, over time, what we've seen is, quite a bit of cost escalation for materials, especially.
All right, thanks. And the second question is around operational procedures. We've gotten just around fencing from neighbors even before we put this in on gates aren't locked, gates were locked, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just wondering, now that we have this in place, do we have a schedule of when these gates are to be locked, and are these the same across the district? Do we vary by neighborhood? I was just wondering if you could speak to a high level what our policies and protocols are around when the gates are locked, not locked, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
If we determine that.
Yeah, I think as far as access, as Stacy spoke to earlier, as far as, making sure that our community has access after school hours. So that
Mhm.
kind of, that's definitely in place. In regards to the access point, that is something that's been left up to the school sites,
Okay.
To kind of manage as far as what they, what is their best entry point they think of for the community.
Okay, so that should fall into the purview of the school safety plan that we looked at earlier then.
Correct. It should be highlighted in there.
Okay, great, thank you. I didn't have any other questions. Anybody else have anything for Todd? Oh,
Yeah, the last one, sure.
Sure.
So is it one same contractor is doing or same company is doing everywhere, or it's different companies are working on this?
This time we don't know the contractor yet because we're going to go out to
But
bid.
the first 9.
Oh, it was two different contractors.
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have another questions. Say, some of the schools, I visited, and they have say classrooms facing outside, so which is pretty hard to do fencing, to So is that, do we all have a pretty good security plan for those?
Yeah, process wise, meeting with the school sites to go over the fencing plan. Some of the school sites, made some adjustments or working with the site administrator, them working with their, school staff to make some adjustments. I think initially, our goal was to increase security, but not necessarily make our schools, look like a fortress or, different than a school. But that's why there are some differences. And with the buildings, a different layout of the campuses, some lended itself a little bit easier than others. Others were definitely more challenging.
All right, okay. Anything else for Todd?
So is that okay for comment?
We'll have, I think we have 2 other sections, and so we'll go ahead and do those. Yeah. Thank you, Todd, for the update on fencing. All right, so we have wearables next, it looks like. Who's?
Do you want to do gaggle or?
Oh,
So next we'll do a little piece on student, what we provide for students. So I believe Amy and Carrie, 2 of our directors, are going to come up and join us.
welcome.
Hi. Good evening. Carrie and I are here this evening to share with you some information about some platforms that we have in place to support our efforts to ensure student safety and wellness. These 2 platforms are called Securely and Gaggle. There are platforms that help us safeguard our students during their online use in their student accounts and their student devices, particularly in the middle school where we have them take them home. And we're also going to talk about our reporting system. We have a reporting system that can be anonymous for our students and for our community. So I'll start with Securely. Securely is our web filtering platform. It screens web searches on CUSD devices and in student accounts for physical, social, and emotional safety. It has some keywords that get identified if a student types into a web search looking for certain things, and then will alert us to those things if there is some concern for their physical, social, or emotional safety. It's monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As you know, our middle school students take their devices home. And so this allows us to get alerts even when they are off campus about their web search use. And all of the reports that we receive are followed up by CUSD staff. Sometimes those reports and those follow-up is just kind of confirming with teachers that students are doing research in certain areas, because some of the web filtering keywords are things related to weapons, as you can imagine. And oftentimes in some content areas, they're doing some research about some sort of historical event that gets kind of alerted to us. And so the site administrators tend to do the follow-up on that. We also, associated with Securely, have a parental notification option where our middle school parents, where students have a take-home device, have the option of opting in to an alert that they get it weekly. It's a notification in their email that gives them a summary of students' web search activity when they're not on campus. And we have over 5,000 parents who have signed up to receive those notifications.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So the other platform that we use in the district is called Gaggle. And this is a filtering platform that we use using our Google Drive for physical, social, and emotional safety. Staff is trained on Gaggle safety, and representatives evaluate what comes in on like their platforms, like their Google Docs and spreadsheets and their Google Chat, etc. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So we have a constant eye on the work that might be occurring, or the chats that might be occurring. It specifically filters for things like harassment, self-harm, drug and alcohol use, violence, sexual context, etc. And we have a continuum of severity that is applied with each of those filtered items that Gaggle informs our school district. And CUSD staff follows up on all reported incidences. So the next slide talks about so far in this school year, Gaggle has flagged 6,195,047 items they've analyzed. And with that, it goes down to suspicious behaviors. You'll see it goes down. If you look in that yellow bar in the middle where it's a student safety concern or incident, we receive all notifications on that. So myself and Amy, as well as Aaron and Mahmood, get notification, as well as site administration on anything that is at a level where they believe is a concern. And you'll see that in that orange bar and that red bar, those two items add up to what the yellow bar is. And so the 278 incidents, or of those 6 million, 286 incidents have been flagged to the level where they felt that staff needed to follow up. And each of those incidences, we will reach out to our staff if we don't hear back from them. And if you see that number 8, that is considered a very high level threat where there's a concern. And we get a text message actually in our text stream, and we have 3 minutes to respond saying we're aware that this is happening and we're taking action. And if we don't respond within those 3 minutes, they will deploy help. They will make sure that somebody goes out to do like a health and welfare check. So there are safety measures built within our system in each level for our student safety when they consider it a really high alert. The 278 in the middle, we also follow up on. Amy, myself, school principals, Aaron, Mahmood, we all take a look on that, even on the weekends, even in the evenings, we check our emails on a pretty regular basis. And if we feel there's a safety need that needs to be addressed, we will work at either the site administrators or do it ourselves and call the family to make sure we have a safety alert about your child. We are concerned about it in this area. Is your child with you? Are you safe? And then we'll give them some safety parameters around how they can help. And the last platform that we have in the district is called Speak Up. And this, you'll find these posters at both our elementary and middle schools, but this is a confidential way that people can communicate safety concerns to our district. And the severity is also reported, and we get those messages from our community members. If you look at our CUSD website, one of our actual buttons that, you could regularly trigger this to report a safety concern, and that goes directly to our Speak Up messaging. We get that, and then we filter and assign those incidences also, and also follow up on all those. Sometimes we get safety issues because it's a public nuisance on, the way people are making U-turns during student drop-off. Sometimes, it's another safety concern. So we have several platforms that either students, parents, community members can report safety concerns. And in each of these cases, there are staff that follows up on those items.
All right. Well, thank you, Amy. Thank you, Carrie. We'll kind of go around for questions. We'll go in the same order we did before, perhaps. So Satish, if you do the honors.
I think I have more than questions. It's just an appreciation. This is really great and good data. Really appreciate you guys doing this 24/7, 365. But I think one couple of questions on this is, I know it's not controlled by us, Gaggle, but what is the accuracy of it with your experience? We have these numbers and 278 or 286. These things are genuine cases, or you think that like 20% of it is probably just to understand the efficiency of this tool? Is most of these things are genuine? Genuinely, you think that gets into that bar, that kind of?
That is just such a difficult question to answer.
Okay.
Particularly because I will speak, I think securely is less accurate than Gaggle, but it is only a web search filter. So whereas Gaggle is a more comprehensive analysis of what type of document it is, or chat or email, and I think in most cases, it is worth investigating
Okay.
to make sure that, you know, even if something is written in a student's, a narrative writing that they're working on or a persuasive essay, that it falls under one of those categories on the other slide, that it's worth a staff member checking in with that student to see that they're okay and if they need any support.
And second question is, what's the turnaround time that is at least with so many, like 48 hours or 72
No.
hours, like what is that?
Way faster than that. So if it's a high alert, we will go in and activate we'll pick up the phone, call administrator saying, we need you to follow up on this right away. If it's a lower level alert, you know, we still check in. So Amy and I, that's the biggest thing that we do. It's one of those things we do on a daily basis where we will make sure that somebody is looking into it as soon as we possibly can, because we don't ever want to put children at risk. So, I mean, it's pretty quick turnaround
Within the school.
within the school day.
Within the day, or the-
Thank you.
Ava, do you have anything?
Yes, thank you. Thank you both, and thank you both for being part of a team of four and answering things on a 24-hour basis. I was listening to how you're explaining that yellow was the whole team would get an email alert, right? And then yellow and red was like a text message. What
Yeah.
was orange? Did I miss that part? Like,
So
what
we get an
happens when
email,
you get all?
the orange and the red, we
Yeah.
get email and we get an email for both of those.
Oh, okay.
Those two add up to the yellow. So if anything from the 286, we get an email automatically. If it is severe, we will get a text message to respond immediately.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Long.
Okay, so helping me to understand. So security is web filtering. It's just say when students using web browser on school devices, and we so that will trigger, right? And for Gaggle, is that say whenever students write something on Google Drive.
It's a drive filter.
So it's a drive filter. Okay. So say if there's a misclassified event, like you said, say when they doing a history research and they need to search on certain weapons, and so they misfired, and do we have a way to override it?
We don't have a way to override the notification, but what we do is we follow up to make sure that's been followed up on. And so a site administrator will often come back to us and say, checked in with the teacher, checked in with the student. The student is doing a research project on this activity, and this is why this is coming through.
Okay.
So that's where we don't really override the system. The accounts come in,
Okay.
and then we just make sure we follow up on through those incidents.
Okay, I see. So student can still continue to
Yeah, it
do
doesn't-
the research.
Yeah, it doesn't
There's nothing-
stop them.
Nothing stops the student.
Oh, okay. So so it's if a student search on something or writing something, and they continue to write, but we just get a notification,
That they-
and then we
that's-
check. Okay.
And then you check, yeah.
Mhm.
And the response is there's a large continuum of responses. Some is just checking to see that that's an accurate thing they're
Mhm.
researching, all the way to, you know, some type of risk assessment that a student might need, depending on.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Thanks. I have two questions. One is just ballpark, what's the license cost of these on an annual basis for these two services? Do we have a sense?
We're gonna turn them a mood.
It's okay. I can get it later if you don't have it yet.
Process.
We don't do that part.
Okay, okay, that's fine. I'll go ahead and
Okay.
I'll happy to get that
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
I'm also wondering, just in terms of the alerts we've gotten, the 270 something.
Yeah.
Do they tend to be higher grades, lower grades? Is it pretty even? Just anecdotally,
It tends
you-
to be middle school students, yeah.
middle
Higher
school
grades.
students? Okay. And then when I'm thinking about sort of, so this, we're looking at web searches, we're looking at Google Drive content, but I can also imagine some of the other places where student content would be perhaps in social media or some of their communication. Sounds like this doesn't cover that. And I'm wondering, do the tools have a way of covering that? Or do we not want to do that per policy? Or be interested in your thoughts on that. Is that something that you think would be good to have, not good to have?
So the tools will monitor any of our accounts that we manage.
Okay,
So, and we restrict things like chat and other systems,
Ah.
social media systems. So we won't necessarily be monitoring those. But anything that we manage as far as our accounts, there's monitoring on them.
okay, all right, thank you.
But if a student were, for example, to take a screenshot
Mhm.
of an Instagram post and send that to another student or to a teacher, then that would be flagged. Because that's within our.
Ah, okay, got it. Because-
Especially if the content was inappropriate.
Right, okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Thank you. I didn't have anything else on this topic. Anybody else? Any follow-ups? Oh, please, Ava.
Clarification of when you were mentioning about social media, it made me think, do we allow students to use those social media pages using on the web? There's no blocking, it's just still open?
No, we restrict them from signing in with their district accounts for
Okay.
those applications.
But if they were, say, like they go to Instagram.com,
Oh, it's blocked internally.
it's blocked.
And on our
So
device.
they won't be able to log in no matter which login they try to, so they just can't get on because it's on our devices that are logged in as CUSD student, right?
We filter if they're using our systems and we filter if they're using our accounts, even off school grounds.
Okay.
That doesn't stop students from signing into those things on their personal devices.
Yes, I
And
understand
bringing
that,
them on
but they
school.
just won't be able to sign on if they're using
Yeah,
district devices.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay,
Good. Oh,
I have another question. Sorry. Say, how about our Wi-Fi network? Do we do any filtering or detection?
Yeah, so when we say network in general in our school grounds,
Mhm.
when they're connected to our network, everybody in the district, there's already a baseline SIPA filter that restricts inappropriate content and different categories that we filter based on whether you're a student or staff. And then securely is added on there as a secondary in addition to being able to support when the devices go off school grounds with reporting.
Okay, I see. So I mean, say for some visitors, they use our open Wi-Fi network, and do we do any filtering or limitation?
We do filter and restrict inappropriate content even on our guest networks.
Okay, thank you.
all right, anything else? No? Amy, Carrie, thank you.
Thank
For
you.
the update. And then do we have one more second?
We have one more segment, and so this one really is something we don't currently have in place, but we are moving forward on it. So we're excited to be bringing it. It's something that we will hear has been very useful in other schools. I know that we have, I believe, Ken from Cententrix, and so he's going to walk us through what this program is and share a little bit more of the details. And this would be something that would be available for every staff member, and our goal is to have it in place by next fall.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to pass out a sample badge for you guys to test out today. I think
Smaller than the picture.
Welcome, Ken.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here today. So I'm from Sacramento area, been in California all my life, originally born in the Bay Area. So I appreciate you guys having me out here today. I'm going to give you a little 10-minute overview of how our wearable solution works and a little bit of background on our company. And then we'll let you guys actually get a chance to push the button on the badges. So, oops, I got a clicker.
It's okay.
So Cententrix has been the leader in school safety for wearable for about 7 years. We're in over 12,000 schools. We're in 4 of the 10 largest districts. We've been now doing this for a while, and we're doing over 250,000 incidents per year where a teacher or a staff member is using a badge to get help. Part of the reason we do this is for lockdown scenarios. Obviously, everybody's very concerned with the amount of mass shootings and other weapon incidents around the country. Our system was really originally designed after the Parkland shooting because our founders were involved with those schools and designed the wearable to be effective rapid response. What we found is this is being used for the myriad of other incidents that are more common, whether it's medical incidents, whether it's physical incidents, whether it's 911 calls asking for help. This badge gets used for all incidents. And it's really a simple tool. The ones you have in your hand right now, if you just grab it, there's a little button on the top right here, and every single staff member can get a badge. And it's a one button activation because under duress, it's very difficult to ask for help and to fumble with a phone or try to run around and find somebody. So simple little badge that you get to use. If you want to play with it, just click it 1, 2, 3 times. 1, 2, 3. I need help. You should feel a little buzz. And we're going to run a little video for about 2 minutes so you can see a live site that actually has the badge and our equipment.
Saving time saves lives. That is the idea behind new technology that staff. In Meade County schools.
WDRB's Katrina Nichols shows us how the push of a button can the event of an active shooter or any emergency in just seconds. Teachers and staff walking the hallway to Meade County schools will now help wearing these badges. This way, when a situation occurs and help is needed, a teacher can click this button 3 times and help will be on the way within seconds. That's like placing a silent 911 call.
When a situation with a student arose last week in Meade County Schools,
I heard a teacher yell out when someone pushed their buttons.
Teacher Michelle Miller and other staff used their Centegix crisis alert badges.
For help, we had great admin here within seconds. Like I've been here 18 years, and that just does not happen. I mean, that's the quickest response I've ever seen.
That is an example of the staff alert used for something like medical emergencies or a fight. With just 3 clicks, this nondescript badge can tell administrators, school resource officers, nurses who press the button and exactly where they are, down to the room number. Meade County Schools is the first in Kentucky to use this kind of technology.
We just empowered over 600 teammates to respond to everyday situations and worst case scenarios.
If a campus-wide lockdown is necessary in the event of an active shooter, staff will click 8 times. Initiating this PA announcement. And in seconds, administrators are notified by phone, police are dispatched. Teachers' monitors will pop up this lockdown warning. And red flashing lights installed all over buildings will go off. Before installing the technology, taking those steps would have taken seconds, possibly minutes. Now Meade County schools can notify an entire campus with just 8 clicks.
Seconds matter in life-threatening situation. This would cut minutes off of the ability for our campus to go into lockdown.
The technology relies on its own network, meaning if the district's Wi-Fi is down or cell service is out, it will still work. 2 private companies and an alum are covering the district's contract, therefore not costing the school district a penny.
It is peace of mind. It truly is.
In Meade County, with photojournalist Josh Horton, Katrina Nichols, WDRB News.
Thank you for playing that, Mahmood. So the badge that you have in your hand has 2 purposes. It's for everyday emergencies. We call that a staff alert in our system, and it's a discrete request for help. That's the 3-button click. And this is something that everybody can use, a teacher, an aide, a custodian, including administrators are in the building here. They can be in any campus, and this will work on that campus. And it allows them to get help directly to them. And it provides them with a map to their support team. That's going to be for that particular site. Typically, it's a site administrator, SROs, nurses, counselors, whoever's part of the safety team that responds to incidents on that campus. They're going to receive an Amber Alert on their phone as well as on their computer. So it's not a text message or an email where you hope somebody looks at it. It is something that gets looked at. It can be cleared and it doesn't set off any alarms, just discrete alert, that 3 button. And that's where 90% of the incidents happen. Those are your medical incidents. Those are kids having a seizure, kids that are maybe fighting an elopement. That's the most common scenario is the 3 button click. And one thing that we do with the maps, we're going to digitize all of your floor plans, is we're going to put critical safety information on there. Our team's going to map out where the locations of your AED devices are, Narcan kits, critical exits, hiding areas, hardened areas, not only for your own staff, but also for first responders if they do come on site for a major emergency. We call this safety mapping, and it comes as part of the system. What's neat about it is your teams will actually be able to maintain these maps. So let's say you needed to move your Narcan kits from the nurse's office to the front office. You can move those on the maps yourselves, and they're automatically real time so everybody can see them. We also do the campus-wide alerts. That's your lockdown scenarios. And in the lockdown scenario, this badge can do a lockdown request. So a teacher might be roaming a hall or a custodian's out in the quad and they see somebody with a gun, they could push this 8 or more times. When we're trading, what we say is keep clicking until alarms are tripping, because you can request a lockdown from this very quickly and lock down your school. When you do that request, it's going to do not only that mapping that you saw before, but it's also going to trigger all of the strobes. We provide strobes for each and every classroom, as well as throughout the buildings and rooms like this. This would probably have 2, maybe 4 strobes in it. And these are security strobes. These are safety strobes, just like you have fire strobes. In some states, they're now mandating that you have safety strobes. So this can be 7 different colors, and it can align with your protocols for your secure in place, for your evacuate, and for earthquake and other items. Along with that, as you saw in the video, we're going to provide screen takeovers with your screens, as well as your staff computers, so that we can display instructions specific to the lockdown in automated fashion. If you look at some of the videos that are out there where this was in place, like Appalachia, you'll see a lot of people saying that, hey, I saw the strobes, or other people say, hey, I heard the PA system, or other people say, hey, I saw the instructions. And they usually did that the second or third time it repeated. As a best practice, this usually does repeat for about 90 seconds so that it is immediate. So you can go within a matter of seconds to getting those instructions out, getting people to follow your protocols quickly. Part of that system is we're going to integrate to your PA systems. You guys use a variety of PA systems. We think this is a critical part of saving lives. So we provide the tools to integrate to older systems that you have, as well as the new IP systems like single wire. The last piece of this is that we're going to integrate during a lockdown scenario to local law enforcement. If you guys have your own SRO teams, that will be integrated to them, but you can also escalate this so that local law enforcement, sheriff, local PD can receive an electronic version of the map that you just saw. And that cuts down time on calling 911. Anybody's called 911? I've done it a lot of times. My daughter has a seizure disorder. I've called 911 9 times in my life. And when you call, you have to explain yourself and you have to explain where you are. And that generally takes around 90 seconds to accomplish. We bypass that process and we provide directly with those tactical teams the exact locations of those in duress. So they're going to get the same live maps. So if you're a person inside the quad and you're pushing the button that you say, I see somebody with a gun, and you run across, it's going to show you on the map where you are. And this is critical information that law enforcement can use to be able to get to the right locations. We provide them access to the maps at no charge. And these are to scale with roads and access points. Last thing I'll leave you with is this tool is really remarkable, and then it tracks itself. All the incidents that you see here are real incidents from one of my customers. These were automatically tracked when they occurred. So you have the data behind this of when it started, when it was closed, and who was closed by. But the macro data is really interesting because it shows where certain schools and certain types of incidents are happening. And over time, how that's being, your resources are being used. My clients look at this often. You'll have view of that at your district level of all your schools as well as for the entire district. One thing to note is you get to decide what you track. Some of my clients like to track de-escalated incidents, some don't. And de-escalated incidents where somebody pushed the button, they got back up, and they kept the kid in class. And a non-de-escalated incident, there maybe was a kid taken out of class. So you guys get to decide and figure that. So I'm going to pause here and let you guys ask questions.
All right, well, thank you for the presentation. Ken, let's go around the table. Satish, please.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. That's great. And I have to understand this a little bit more in the real use scenarios and things like that. But I think a couple of questions here is, one is it a centrally controlled, or is it like how much of control individual schools will have, or is it district level, or you will have some backend somewhere else which would be controlling or taking this data and doing the analysis?
So you have instant access for analysis, both real time and over time. So the system is in the cloud, but you have complete access at the district level and at the site level. Or the site will have site level data. The district will have data access to all sites.
Okay, and what kind of reports it can generate? Like from different levels of it, you can get it, means like in the site level, you can get something, and the district level, because something could be confidential as well. How do we make sure all these things would be happening?
Yeah, we are, the data is secure. We're HIPAA SOC compliant. You're going to be able to only access the data on the incidents, not any data about students. Okay. So the incidents are who the teacher or staff member, aide, or whoever requested help, and then who helped them.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing about students.
Okay, I'll wait for that.
All right, thanks, Satish. Ava, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here and presenting. For the badge itself, are these rechargeable or are they battery off? How long do they last?
Really good question. So completely wireless, no recharging. There's a multi-year battery. We're getting about 3 years out of these, and that's critical because we originally, when we first designed this, we first thought cell phones would be great. And then we found out, oh, you can't make teachers download stuff on cell phones, and then they want to get a stipend. And then also they usually can't even get to their cell phone when they're having an emergency. So then we went to rechargeable. We said, hey, we're going to use Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, the battery doesn't last very long, and it obviously doesn't have a good signal. So then we scrapped all that and we found a new technology called LoRaWAN. LoRaWAN allows us to complete reliability, 100% coverage everywhere on campus, inside and outside, with no recharging. Because as soon as you ask somebody to put something in their cradle or have to recharge it, you're going to have a lot of people who don't have a badge with them or a badge with the battery that's dead. So this is always working and we monitor it. So as soon as they get to around 2.5 years and some of them start to die out, we provide replacements. So each site will actually have extra badges on site. They can swap them out with their teachers who are having low battery. So we want to have everybody always have something that works and they never have to recharge it.
And then do they have assigned identification? Like if this is my badge, you know that this is my badge, and they find the badge, it can, oh, okay, this belongs to so-and-so.
Yep, it is assigned to you, but it has none of your personal information. All that's in here is basically a serial number, like a license plate that's unique. And then we assign it in our secure cloud. So if a teacher loses this or an aide loses this, they can tell the front office they lost it, they can deactivate it, but there's no personal information. And this doesn't work off campus. And also this doesn't track you at all until you push the button. This is in control of whether you get tracked. So when you push this button and you feel that vibration, it's requesting track me. And it's only going to track you during the incident. And that's key because there's privacy concerns a lot of times. Also, unions might have questions. I don't know if there's any union representatives here, but unions end up, once they understand our technology, loving it, but they do have questions about it.
And I think the one piece that, where was attractive for us is, as we've heard more and more incidents of concerns with teacher safety within their classrooms, and oftentimes they have to pick up a walkie and they may call on the walkie for the administration. This would be an easy access for them. They would have the badge, and that 3 pressure alert would then alert to the principal. There'd be a much faster response to their need. If there's a student fight or a student is eloping, they would be able to immediately push this button 3 times. It alerts the front office, the site principal, to immediately respond. Where now, as that incident's happening, they have to get their walkie, call into their walkie. And so I do just think it'll expedite their response time to increase that student safety and staff safety.
Thank you for answering the questions. That's all I have for now.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you, Eva. Long.
Okay, thank you for the presentation and thank you for answering some of the questions and which is that also my questions as well, like the privacy. Okay, and I have some other questions like say what should say if we adopt it as a school district and what should we provide and how do we maintain the system? That
Sure. We're a turnkey solution and we monitor and maintain it for you. We're safety as a service. So for our annual fee, we're going to provide all of the badges. We're going to provide all of the strobes, and these strobes are wireless as well. We can install an entire school typically in 1 day. So we can install your entire district within about a 2-week period. And we monitor and maintain everything. So we're watching that these are always working. And if they aren't, we come out and we maintain them. And same thing with the badges. If these stop working, these we just provide extras. So you never are without extra badges. So each school will probably have 10 to 20 extra badges at any given time, sometimes more depending on the size of the school. And then if there's any attrition, we'll just ship new badges to replace any that fall off.
okay, so and can this badge say if in the future say we have a secured door and you need to swipe the badge to get into the door, and can you add another chip?
Yeah, if you're looking for a badge that has access control, we have partnered with HID, who's one of the popular companies. So we have a combination badge coming out. That's going to be available later this year. But what most of my clients use now is they just have their access control badge on the same ring. So you could add 2 or 3 badges to the ring or a pouch. You saw in the video, there's pouches. If you go to Etsy or Amazon, we have almost 1 million badges in the market. There's pouches that you can have your access control right next to your ID badge in this badge and the same pouch.
Okay.
So there's multiple ways to do it.
Okay. Yeah. Last one. Say, do you already have all the building maps for the school district?
We would get those from your facilities, typically in your IT department.
Okay.
What we do is we digitize those, and then when we come on site, we place the location of the AED devices, exits, and other critical safety information.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Questions?
All right, thanks. Candace, I have about 2 or 3 questions. The first is around cost. So if you guys talk about how much this will cost our district,
Yeah, I can share that with you if you like.
what's a ballpark number?
Yeah, so we cover all your buildings in your district. So Mahmood had shared those details of those addresses, and then we analyze that and we come up with the annual cost for our service. For yours, it's around $220,000 per year.
Okay, and what about the non-recurring engineering costs to digitize?
Yeah, it's generally around similar, close to the first year's cost. So it should be around $200,000 to $220,000 for us to come install. We are a turnkey solution. So when we do that installation, we're placing all of the hardware. We're going to be connecting to your PA systems, getting the software to connect to your visual displays and testing that with your IT facilities. And then once that's complete, which generally takes about 3 months from design to deployment, then we'll come on site with a trainer to each and every school. And that trainer is going to go through the drills and go through the staff alerts with your actual protocols and your system. So when that trainer leaves, it's ready to use that day. And it's so easy to use that it usually gets used very quickly. And so that training is around an hour to 90 minutes, just with the safety staff. That's not training all of your employees. The training for the employees, and I can share a video with you guys, is actually like a 10-minute training because you guys are almost half trained already. 3 buttons, 8 or more buttons, but they also need to understand your protocols. So we usually use that time to help design the training with your HR department.
Right.
That includes all of your protocols and policies along with the badge training.
Right. So this gets into my next question around the end-to-end experience. So I understand the part about clicking the button. I understand the part about the cloud getting notified. And you talked about, narrative, then help would arrive. So who provides that help? Is that your company? Is that Mamu with a truck?
Batman, yeah.
Right. So how does that integrate into our current district processes?
Yeah, so the way that works is it's completely configurable based off of your safety protocols and design, and it can be individual for each school. So what a elementary school like the one we're in right now might have certain people and certain first responders that are in this area. So we'll design the system for the 3-button click for the local folks.
Okay.
We'll design all your protocols for evacuate, secure, and of course, lockdown. And then we'll also program and work with local law enforcement so they understand how the lockdowns and drills are going to work for a lockdown scenario.
So specifically for our district, do we have that determination, what that might look like?
Yes, so I think for the, generally speaking, our school administrators would of course be on that safety team.
Okay.
We may also include our school nurses because the 3
I see.
clicks could be a health emergency.
Got it.
We do have students who have seizures, so that may be a part of the safety team, as well as possibly the school psychologist, front office staff. This is kind of these scenarios are occurring right now, every
Right,
day.
right.
We have teachers calling on their walkie-talkie, on their black phone that need help. A student is eloping, running from the classroom.
Yeah.
So those teams are already built
Got
at the
it.
school site level. So we would be taking that current technology, which is the phone, their walkie-talkie, and replacing it with the badge system, the 1, 2, 3, I need help.
Okay.
And then
Thank you.
setting them up to be deployed to that location.
That makes sense. I was just wanting to make sure, and that makes complete sense to me. I just wasn't sure if we're different set of responders, but it does make sense. But it depends.
It's a really good question. And when I say that 3 months, because it only takes us about a week or 2 to install that's where the design comes in, is working with your district office and individual site administrators to get all of that set up.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't have any, and thank you for that, Ken.
Sure.
Do you have any other questions? Anybody have any
It's
follow-up?
almost the time, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so.
I will just say too, as we will continue to bring updates as we create the plan and the rollout. And again, our hope and expectation is that we'll have this fully in place for the fall.
So only one thing is there any additional infrastructure cost which we will have to incur? Means a prerequisite. So other than this built out includes everything, or do we have to have something additional spent on that?
Good question. Yeah, we're providing our network, so you're not having to put any infrastructure into Wi-Fi or cellular or any other IT or physical. We're providing all the equipment and we're monitoring and maintaining it. Yep, thank you.
All right, thanks. With that then,
Thank you so
Ken,
much.
for the
Thank you.
presentation. All right, that closes out the board study session. We're going to move on to our regular session. The first item is 6.1 flag salute. I understand we have 3 students from Eisenhower here. And Principal Greenfield, if you could introduce the students. I think I have the names, but I can't find it here right now. If you could do that. And thank you so much, folks, for leading us in our flag salute. Okay. I'm sorry. It's Ratanya, Leland, and Jeremy. Welcome to our board meeting, and thank you for leading us in the flag salute today.
Ready?
Also, if you could step up to the mic so everybody could hear you.
1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance. Oh, sorry. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One day.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. So I am Howard Whitfield. I am the principal at Eisenhower. And tonight I have brought 3 of my 5th grade students to talk about the work we've been doing. This is my 2nd year at Eisenhower. We've been utilizing the habits of mind. There are 16 skill sets that we really want to develop within our students that we believe will help us get to the outcomes of our portrait of a learner competence. The other thing we've really been focusing on, which is also a district priority, is sense of belonging. So one of the students, Jeremy, will talk about that. But I will turn it over to Ratanya to start us off, and then Leland will follow, and Jeremy will finish us up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ratanya Rathore, and I'm here to talk about why Eisenhower is an excellent choice for school, especially when it comes to developing the essential habits of mind. There are 16 habits of mind. such as persisting, questioning and posing problems, taking responsible risks, and they are critical for success in school and beyond. At Eisenhower, we work on developing each and every one of them during our time here. First, managing impulsivity. Eisenhower encourages students to think before they act. Managing impulsivity makes us take thoughtful decisions leading to better outcomes in both their academic and personal lives. My teacher, Mrs. Duong, is into mindfulness and yoga. Each day we take 3 to 5 minutes thinking about who we will show up as and setting intentions. These intentions are used as goals to work at throughout the day. That's how my classmates and I learn and practice our ability to manage impulsivity. Not only does my teacher do that, but I'm sure every teacher has their own unique way to bring in reflective exercises. By cooperating mindfulness practices and reflective exercises, students learn to pause and consider the consequences of their actions, leading to responsible behavior and better trust. Furthermore, listening and understanding with empathy. At Eisenhower, students are taught to listen actively and understand each other's perspectives. This habit fosters a supportive and inclusive community where everyone feels valued and heard. For example, one day during science, we all just finished an experiment and we're having a class discussion. One of my classmates stated their point and another disagreed. We had a back and forth conversation, understanding each other's thoughts. Through group projects, peer discussions, and community service initiatives, students develop strong communication skills and learn the importance of empathy in building meaningful relationships. Third, thinking flexibly. Eisenhower promotes creative problem solving and adaptability. Students learn to approach problems from different angles and come up with innovative solutions. The school's emphasis on hands-on projects encourages students to think outside of the box and adapt to changing circumstances, preparing us for the dynamic world ahead. To continue striving for accuracy, Eisenhower instills a commitment to excellence. Students are encouraged to take pride in their work and always aim for the best. With a focus on detailed feedback and continuous improvement, students learn the value of precision and diligence in their academic pursuits and beyond. Lastly, finding humor. As well as being serious and focused, Eisenhower makes sure everybody has a smile on their face. For example, one day during math, we were all working really hard and a certain type of intenseness was forming in the room. Suddenly, 2 of my classmates started quietly giggling. Another classmate, Madalena, heard them making a laughing sound for almost the whole lesson. Then she said, "Are these guys having an epileptic seizure?" The whole room started to laugh. In conclusion, Eisenhower is more than just a school. It's a place where kids develop the habits of mind that will serve them throughout their lives. Eisenhower makes sure to set up kids for a future of success, resilience, and empathy. Thank you. Once again, I'm Britannia from Eisenhower Elementary.
Thank you, Tanya.
Oh, no, we're working this. Thank you, Tanya.
I might be a bit small for this, but
Maybe we could just the mic down. There you go. All right.
so Eisenhower can help many people with many other choices, but my choice on why Eisenhower is a good school is that it helps kids persist. Because persistence is a key to success, and Eisenhower helps students develop it in many ways. Through academic support, Project Cornerstone, leadership opportunities, and a strong sense of community, students learn to push through challenges and achieve their goals. Our teachers offer tutoring, study groups, and extra help to ensure the students overcome academic struggles. Our teachers remind us that it's okay to be right. It's okay to not be right every time. And we can try again. Sometimes the journey is 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and it's okay if things are imperfect and go the wrong way. We just need to try again. This is what Eisenhower teaches multiple students every day. With these resources, students learn that persistence leads to success in school, in Eisenhower and further.
Thank you, Leon.
Hello, my name is Jeremy and I'm in 5th grade. I first attended Eisenhower in kindergarten, first, second, before leaving. When returned this school year, I felt a little bit nervous, wondering if my friends might have forgotten me. However, all my worries disappeared the moment I stepped into the school. I was greeted by cheerful shouts of Jeremy, Jeremy, we're back, as my classmates welcomed me with high fives and hugs. It felt like I had never been away at all. One unforgettable memory that shows the sense of belonging in Eisenhower happened during recess in second grade. I had grown a little bit tired of the usual play structures and decided to join a game of Foursquare. The moment I stepped onto the court, the other kids welcomed me warmly and even took the time to teach me how to play. In just a few weeks, I became quite skilled, better than some of the other players. Their kindness made me feel truly included and a part of the team. I believe that having a sense of belonging is essential for each student. It creates a safe and happy environment, making it easier for us to make friends, participate in class, and feel comfortable at school. The welcoming nature of my classmates showed me that a little kindness and inclusion can go a long way. I am incredibly grateful to be back at Eisenhower, surrounded by such a supportive and positive community, and I hope every student experiences the same feeling of belonging. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That was amazing. So like I said earlier, we really create an amazing community for our students where we want them to feel belonged, and we're providing them the skills to be successful, not just here at school, but beyond.
All right, well, thank you, Principal Greenfield. Thank you, Ratanya, Leland, and Jeremy for sharing your practices and sharing your stories, your funny stories and all. Really enjoy learning about Eisenhower. I'm very happy you're so proud of the school. I'd like to take a picture together to commemorate the occasion. So if the board could join me up here, we'll line up somehow and get a picture, all right? Moving on, item 7, this is employee organization, communication from employee organizations. Erin, do we have any speakers tonight?
We do. We have 2 speakers this evening. Our first speaker is CEA President Kate Lee.
Okay. Welcome, Kate, wherever you are. There you are.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Yao, Executive Cabinet, CUSD teachers, and CUSD community. We have asked elective teachers to share their experience and concerns as CUSD elective teachers at our 5 middle schools as tonight, so you'll be hearing from some of them. As you know, there are many changes regarding numbers of periods and electives this year at our middle schools. And as these decisions are getting made and plans with more changes are in process, we want our board to hear directly from our dedicated elective teachers who are passionate about their elective subjects and their students and have many concerns about how proposed changes will affect them, their elective subjects, and their students. But first, I'd like to address a couple of other issues with our board and the executive cabinet. Our CEA teachers and educators really appreciated the strong, clear statement of support and inclusivity that Superintendent Yao provided at our last board meeting during her superintendent's report. Her adamant reassurance of the district's active support of all our students and families, and particularly our most vulnerable students and families, was welcome to hear as we face many unknowns at the federal level, as well as locally for public schools now and moving forward. CA looks forward to continuing to work together with her and all district management to reinforce and ensure CUSD is a safe space for all. I also want to comment on the reductions of positions for certificated staff that are being brought to the board tonight for approval. Although our unit only had 2.3 one of the eliminated positions for assessments is not showing on the agenda document. So it should total 2.3. The small number of reductions of middle school sections of math, PE, and Spanish are due to declining enrollment. But I want to help you understand the importance of two positions that were completely eliminated and the effect that may have for our students with IEPs and for students who are new to the district and may need IEPs due to dysregulated behavior, but haven't been identified yet. The 0.5 FTE assessment position that was eliminated, we are very disappointed that the special education teachers in CUSD will not have this continued badly needed support. What this position and the person in this position did was, if a referral is made for assessments for IEP, the assessment position completes all the scheduling, all the assessments, collaborates with the other assessment team members, scores and interprets the assessments, writes a thorough diagnostic report, and creates a visual slide presentation for the teachers to present their assessments results at the IEP meeting. This saves the case manager hours of time that can be rededicated to working with students and families directly. See, there's some critical notes to understand. Several local districts surrounding us are offering assessment support for their special education teachers, what we are taking away from our teachers right now. Retention of special education teachers is a critical need, and having the option to have someone else complete initial triennial and perennial assessments is a marketable benefit CUSD can use to keep, attract, and retain our special education teachers. Assessment demands are not equitable across the middle schools. Assessment supports have evened out that workload. For example, one teacher shared that they currently have 7 triennial assessments due, as well as managing and sending articulation meetings for all of the incoming 6th grade students. Other schools have less assessments all year. Having an assessment person helping during those high peaks of demand are really important. It also helps our newly credentialed special ed teachers who have limited practice in administering and interpreting assessment results. And special education teachers, psychologists, parents, and administrators have commented on the thoroughness of the assessments and the reports being provided by the person in this position. Having a dedicated to assessment allows good validity for our assessments. So we were really disappointed that CUSD is taking the assessment support away, and we're hoping that it will be brought back and that teachers will be supported in the assessments that have to be done. We're also very disappointed and concerned that the emergency response team that has been in place for the last year or so is being disbanded. There's an instructional coach on this team, and this team has been vital in early identification and interventions for students who are new to the district who have disruptive and dysregulated behavior in gen ed classrooms. Now these students, their teachers, and their classmates will not get the supports and identification for the IEP process and classroom supports as quickly as they are needed. Those are things I wanted to share because you're going to be getting that to decide on tonight. And then I'm going to read from 2 letters from 2 elective teachers who were not able to be here tonight from Miller. Dear board members, I'm writing you today about electives for middle school and the transitions class for 6th graders. I am a 6th grade core teacher at Miller Middle School. I have 29 years of experience and can honestly say that electives are a huge part of a middle schooler's life. Here at Miller and at all middle schools, students have so many different elective choices they can choose from. And it's very important that students can choose electives that are left-brained, right-brained, instill cooperation skills, teach life skills, teach the arts, teach leadership, and more. And so there are a few things to consider. Do all middle schools need to have the exact same electives? No. As long as the electives are truly arts, left brain, right brain, and still cooperation skills and teach life skills, it doesn't matter that they have to be exactly the same. Elective classes have required state standards, just like other subject areas. It's important that electives are fully funded, and it's also important that elective teachers' preps are protected. They require a lot of preparation time to set up for all the different electives. And it's also important that a process for purchasing supplies is easy and not so much paperwork that a teacher's time is wasted. Much research and data show that correlation between electives and developing brains is strong and essential. And we also want to make sure that we provide electives for our diverse student population. In terms of the transitions class, there's incredible teachers at Miller who piloted the transitions program. It's a quarter-long class, and everyone agrees that the transitions class for the sixth graders is vital. It's important to have an open discussion with teachers who piloted the transitions class at all middle schools and use their feedback and curriculum as a guide for all middle schools as the decision of the curriculum and the sixth grade transition class is worked on for the following year. It won't be happening next year. And also, Joanna writes that she was on the electives committee at Miller, and they worked hard for many days to come up with a plan that was good for students. They always put students' interests and needs above their own. It's important that as a district, we focus on students' interests and needs. There's also a concern, which you'll hear more about, of putting together 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in one class, and that they should be separated out so that there can be different levels of a certain elective. I was glad to hear that district is backing off the idea of 6th graders having the transitions at all the schools the same for 2025, 26. And that will give all stakeholders a chance to come up with a curriculum for 26, 27 that incorporates state guidelines along with a student-centered curriculum based on what CUSD students need. The second letter is from David Tang, who is the band director for Miller. As a former Miller and eventually Lynbrook student, I have always enjoyed playing in the band. It was the place where I felt like I belonged and where I excelled. And it was also the place where I initially had the idea of pursuing music professionally. Without the band programs and teachers that have inspired me, I would not be here today. We at Miller and also at all the other school sites in CUSD take pride in the rigor of our programs. On a consistent basis, our ensembles have achieved the superior or unanimous superior ratings at the CMEA music festivals. Each year, we also send many students to the all-state honor bands, orchestras, and choirs, as well as other honor ensembles. This is something that those in our community also take pride in, and it makes our music programs stand out above many others. As we move forward and consider changes in our elective programs, I implore you to please consider the ramifications of making drastic changes that will harm our programs. Specifically, if beginning band or beginning choir was cut to become a one-semester program so that sixth graders could have their transition class. This was considered at Miller as a way for the sixth grade CLIP students to have the choice of music while also meeting the transition class requirement. From the band teacher's perspective, one semester as a beginner is barely enough time to learn how to read music, play instruments with the proper technique, and develop musical skills. Most growth happens in the second semester of beginning band, when everything starts to click together and when we can delve deeper. I bring up languages as an example. If students are expected to learn only one semester of Spanish, Spanish 1, and are then expected to perform well in Spanish 2, it will be nearly impossible as students are missing so much of their learning and development due to a lack of time. It hurts the programs. Similarly, with our music classes, without the proper time for students to develop, it will make it more difficult for us to perform at the same level that we have been for the last few decades. This is also unfair to the CLIP, EL, and SPED students who want to have an amazing music experience but are given the half-baked one-semester course, as this puts them behind all the other students who have the 2 elective slots and can take 1 year beginning band or 1 year beginning choir. We also celebrate our students' successes. If it becomes even more challenging to perform at the level we have been performing at, I am sure it would hurt our motivation to continually strive for excellence. I would hate to have to find a job elsewhere if it becomes that much more difficult to do the work I'm trying to do for my students and my community. Miller is my home, and I want to stay here and continue to serve the band and music program for a long time. Honestly, at the moment, I do not have any definite ideas for this tricky situation, but ideally speaking, there has to be a way to move forward and to provide the transition class for sixth graders while also helping to maintain the quality of our music programs. Perhaps the transition class curriculum could be incorporated in another way rather than the one semester mandated course. My co-teacher, Mr. Anthony Arnold, also my former beginning band teacher, was happy to incorporate key transition class curriculum points into the beginning band and beginning choir curriculum, as much as what we can have already do with SEL and organizational skills are already embedded into it. I hope this helps every board member understand and take action to ensure that elective teachers are supported so every middle school student, including the marginalized, can have the success and opportunities they deserve through their elective classes. Thank you for your time and consideration. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Kate. All right. Who's our next speaker?
Yes, the next speaker is CSEA President Purnima Dilp.
Welcome, Purnima.
Thank you, Jay. I'm not here that often, so nice to see all of you in person. I usually see you virtually. So good evening, everybody. Respected members of the board, executive committee, CUSD staff, and community members. Thank you very much for giving me the time today to air my concerns, which is specifically related to resolution number 242517, which is on the agenda for your action today. I stand in front of you representing your CSEA bargaining unit, chapter 13. To begin with, I'm deeply concerned and disappointed regarding the proposed reduction of nearly 19 full-time FTE CSEA positions per the aforementioned resolution. The primary justification outlined is the lack of funds or lack of work due to declining student enrollment, in which case the reductions should be applied equitably across all bargaining units. CSEA unit members make up a large percentage of the backbone of the district and oftentimes are on the front lines directly supporting our students. I feel that CSEA is bearing the brunt in this proposed resolution as compared to our esteemed peers and with due respect to other bargaining units, CEA and SEIU. Additionally, the number of management positions has remained unchanged despite ongoing enrollment declines, raising concerns about disproportionate impacts. Case in point, the number of certificated management positions has increased since 2021 from 50 to 55 positions as per the data that was shared at the Jan 23rd board advance. During the first interim budget presentation, the discussion indicated that reductions would be distributed across all bargaining units as well as management, which does not seem to be the case. Well, furthermore, it's concerning that HR recently posted openings for instruction assistant general education positions while simultaneously proposing cuts to the same classification. If these proposed cuts were to be approved, this would mean hiring people to then be laid off in a matter of months, which is counterproductive to the district priorities and a sense of belonging goal. Another point I'd like to highlight is the district's ongoing practice of limiting CSEA job postings to under 4 hours per day, which prevents our members from qualifying for essential benefits, such as the highly advertised district's 100% funded employee health care and the CalPERS retirement system. Despite repeated requests to offer full-time or consolidated positions, these concerns have not been addressed. So today, I urge the board to seek transparency and fairness in these decisions and to ensure that no single bargaining unit is disproportionately affected. Your leadership in fostering a more balanced and equitable approach is critical in alleviating the anxiety and uncertainty among our members and ensuring that our district continues to attract and be staffed by the highest quality educators possible. Thank you once again for letting me air my concerns on behalf of my members, and I look forward, before you take action today, to actually have an equitable solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Purnima. All right. Now, we're going to move on to section 8.1. This is for public comments. I think we have some folks here that may not usually attend board meetings, so I'm going to share a bit of a guideline here on the public comment section. So this is a portion of the meeting for the public to make comments that are not on the agenda tonight. So if you would like to comment on actually agenda items, we'll take those comments when they come up later in the meeting. There's a link to a comment card on the district website, so please fill out the comment card. We'll call on you to speak when it's your turn to speak. Public comments on items not on the agenda will be limited to 20 minutes during this section. If there's not time to hear all the comments at this time, then we'll come back and hear those comments after we've gone through all the agenda items on the regular agenda. As a reminder, this is a business meeting of the board in a public setting. It is not a forum for public debate. The law prohibits the board from acting on or discussing matters that are not on the meeting agenda. Therefore, the board members will not respond to the speakers tonight. And we do have a civility policy, board policy 1313. And we just ask members of the public to keep this policy in mind when you make these comments. With that, then, how many comment cards do we have, Erin?
Yes, we have 48.
48. Okay, so we usually allocate 3 minutes per speaker. I don't think that's probably, I would recommend to my colleagues, we either do 2 minutes or 1 minute. So basically what that means is we hear 20 people in this section or 10 and we take the rest. 3 would be just, yeah. So any thoughts or preferences? If not, I'll just make a call.
No, I think at least 2 minutes probably.
2
It's okay.
minutes, okay.
Yeah.
How long? And Ava, do you guys have any thoughts? What would you like? Or if you want to do 3, we'll talk about that too.
Not 3.
Not 3, okay.
2 or 1.5. I think 1 is way too short. And something to keep in mind, since there's a lot of you, is if you want to get all of your points across, try to have different points, mention points that have not been mentioned. That will help you with the time.
Okay, outside the box thinking, we have 1.5 and long.
What do you think?
What's your
Okay,
pleasure?
yeah, sure. 1.5 is fine.
1.5.
I'll go with the
Okay,
majority.
all right, 90 seconds it is, folks. With that then, Erin, whoever's running the clock, go ahead and set the timer and let's welcome our first couple of speakers.
I would like to call up the first 3 speakers. The first speaker is Samuel Liu, followed by Rubina Gonzalez, followed by Shashi Lakshman Runikuntala. So Samuel, you'll be first to speak.
Hi, dear board members, superintendent, and executive team. My name is Sam Liu. I'm here on behalf of the Kennedy Science Olympic team. We are very disappointed and upset about the recent decision to terminate the program. We have hundreds of students, hundreds of families that work very, very hard for many months, many years towards this goal. We are at the end of the seasons. We have to go to the regionals, state, and all the way to the national championships. We were the current national championships for the last year, the year before, and the last 4 years, we have won the national title. My son and daughter have worked very hard, along with her friends, their friends, the team members. They work tirelessly towards this goal. Now, the regional is on March 15, meaning the principal to approve our team to go to the regional so that they can move forward in their journey. How can you guys, as parents, as teachers, as educators, abruptly terminate their dream without any explanations? We understand there's an investigation going on, but that has nothing to do with our students. Nothing to do with our students who have worked very, very hard to get to this point. Please consider our request. Please consider reinstating the program. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. What I'm going to read is on behalf of my daughter. She's part of Kennedy Middle School and also the Science Olympiad team. What I love about Kennedy Science Olympiad is that you get to learn about scientific topics that interest you, such as entomology, forensics, and ecology, while also being a part of an inclusive community of kids who share a similar love for science. For me, Science Olympiad is not just an event I take part in, but rather a community where everyone gets an opportunity to expand their knowledge and to connect with like-minded students. Everyone from coaches and event supervisors to students and parents plays such an important role in our teams, and together we have built something truly special. Our team works so well as a unit. Each person brings their unique strengths to the table, creating a diverse and welcoming group that reflects the best of what Kennedy has to offer. Science Olympiad means the world to me, and I know it does to so many other students. Losing this program would take away more than just the opportunity to participate in regional, state, and nationals. It would dissolve a supportive space where we have all grown, learned, and thrived together. Please reconsider your decision. This program isn't only about the success of 135 Kennedy kids and families, it's about fostering a passion for learning across our whole campus. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hold up. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, no question. Aaron, does the 20 minutes, is the total speaking time or 20 minutes from the start of public speaking to the end of public speaking?
We have done it where we start the time when the first speaker begins, and then we go for 20 minutes.
Okay, is that how we are doing it today?
Yes.
Okay. So my recommendation, if you guys want to clap once so that more people can fit in to speak, unless you want to wait more until after the 20 minutes to get more people in. Thank you.
The next speaker is Shashi Lakshman. If you are joining virtually, please raise your hand. Shashi, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand so I can unmute you. I'm sorry. Okay. The next speaker is Alice Young, followed by Kin Lee.
Dear educators, board members, my name is Alice Young, and I'm representing my daughter Esther Lee to speak on behalf of everyone. Actually, I'm really disappointed that the school district wants to shut down the Science Olympiad team for Kennedy Middle School. For me, I spent so much time on pursuing the kids to come to Cupertino, Kennedy Middle Schools, because they have a very good program for the kids. For us, it's nothing for our benefit. All we want is for our kids' futures. And then basically for the survey, you talk about there are 7 attributes for the kids to learn. You want them to be brave, to be confident, to be knowledgeable, to contribute to the societies. But if every kid deserve a dream to do well, they want the Science Olympiad team, they can pursue, because right now, if you shut down the program, their dreams they don't have the dream. I really urge all the educators, board members, please reconsider to restore this program, and then we can do our best to work with the school district, and then to let them go back to the regional competitions, state competitions. I really, really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Ken Lee. Ken, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. Okay, the next speaker is Divya Naranyan. Following Divya will be Parag Samadyan.
Hello, everybody. I'm the mom to a 7th grader at Kennedy, and we've been part of the Science Olympiad family for 2 years now. And he has really developed an interest in biology. And I have seen him work every weekend. We have tests, and we have traveled to Ohio, to LA, to Portland to take part in competitions. And this has been done happily. And it has really fostered like collaboration, friendship, and so much hard work, and kind of a path to like even career and career interests. So I really want to emphasize, the fact that the kids have worked so hard, they're looking forward to it. And how can we as adults make these kids enable them to go to regionals and then nationals, which is so well earned. Like we've invested so much time, and if we can find a path forward, if we can appoint a parent coach, or if a school can work with us, if we can all align, sign waivers as parents, can we just make this happen short term and work long term with all of you, so we enable Science Olympiad next year as well for our kids to succeed. We really, I just don't know what we would do without them. My kid was very demotivated hearing the news. So I really hope you will help us to motivate them and keep their morale high and nurture this interest in STEM. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Parag, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Thank you. Thank you, board members. So my name is Parag and I am father of Rohan, who goes to Kennedy Middle. He's been working for 3 years for the Science Olympiad, and he's in 8th grade now. This is the last year he can participate and has a chance to go to regionals. Ever since he found out, he's been very sad, upset, and heartbroken. I've never seen him so heartbroken and depressed. And while I understand there has been issues, can we please find a path forward? And I understand it would take your effort and energy, and let's find a path so that we do the right thing for the 8th graders for whom this is the one and only chance to participate. Thank you.
Speaker is Sivya Mohan. Following Sivya will be Amit Mehrotra.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. I also want to take time to thank some of the folks on the board. Whenever I sent mail, I always got a response. What I didn't hear from here is we have a plan to fix this and continue Science Olympiad in future. Okay. But one thing which is missing and looking little drastic is not fielding a team for this year. Kennedy is a strong team. As everybody echoed already, there are a lot of students who are disappointed. Okay. One thing which I want to point out is, have we explored all the options? Why can't we field the team? And how we can help? Majority of the initiatives which school does is always with coordination with the parents. This is an opportunity we can step up. I know we are thrust into this situation all of a sudden. Both us and school find a way to resolve this. This is what I'm hoping we could achieve together. The other thing is, have we actually explored with Science Olympiad who conducts it? This is a situation which is unforeseen, how we can mitigate along with them. Those are my two serious comments, right? And in addition to it, just to say that a national champion is not taking part this year, it would be a big disservice to this community. I want you guys to relook at this and how we can make this happen for this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Following Amit will be Jing Du.
Good afternoon. My name is Amit, and I'm here on behalf of my son, Riyansh Mehrotra, who's in 7th grade and has been preparing for Science Olympiad for over 2 years to be ready for this tournament, which is coming on March 15th. And I want to emphasize the way Science Olympiad topics work. Some of them don't get repeated for several years. So the topics that he's been working for 2 years, if not given an opportunity, all the hard work that he has done will be reduced to nothing. All the long nights, missed vacations, he didn't go to play with his friends, all the sacrifices that he made will essentially be nothing. Last night, I got emotional and I almost cried with him, and I told him, son, you will not be able to go. And he said, Papa, be hopeful. There's going to be something. There is a board meeting plan. Something will happen and we will get a chance to go. So I come here with his faith to request that our children look up to their parents, teachers, coaches, and the elected officials to provide them with the opportunity for success. And I think it's our responsibility to help them achieve that, especially when they have worked so hard. I believe in CUSD. I believe in Kennedy Middle School. I believe in science. And I believe in all the students and parents and the families who are here who have put their heart and soul in the Science Olympiad program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jing, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. I do not see Jing. Our next, oh, I'm so sorry.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jing. My daughter Alexis is the sixth grader. So, as a parent of the kids, who recently joined the KSO community, I feel this program incredible benefit for those not just those senior seventh grade or eighth grade, especially for sixth grader. I believe, there are some parents I have heard overwhelmingly positive feedback from all the feeder schools, like Lincoln and some other elementary school. They know this program and, they got inspired by the Science Olympiad. My daughter, throughout the opportunities, he have learned a lot, both skill-wise and the confidence, and grow tremendously in both skills and confidence. So Coach Quinley has created an environment where students not only compete, but also collaborate. So this is a team activities. So it's not just individual about rankings. It's so students work with each other, they collaborate, and they work on individual events, and together they compete as a team. So, and Coach Quinley worked tirelessly to ensure a fairness, inclusion, and the best possible experience for all families and involved. So what set Quinley apart is, her strategy approach. As I mentioned, it's really a team competition. She carefully placed students in different events and invitation to maximize the potential and achievement that best possible result for the team. So I think
The next speaker is
Thank you.
Christina Cagliostro. Following Christina will be Nuwan Jayasena.
Hey, school board guys, welcome. Hello. I was going to say get up and stretch. Instead, I'm going to say smile and take a deep breath. I love school board members. My father was on the Saratoga Union School District Board for 25 years. My Aunt Louise served on the Saratoga Los Gatos Union High School Board for 20 plus years. I love you guys, and I know you're here and where your hearts and souls are. Speaking of 25, I've been a teacher at Hyde Middle School for 25 years. Currently, I'm the elective department chair, and Hyde is one of the great places where the sixth graders can take art, drama, theater, Spanish, French. They can't take Spanish and French, but they can take wood shop, metal shop, STEAM classes, and culinary arts. And for that reason, we have brought gifts for you. We have cookies made by the students, cards, and pens from the woodshop students, because when they take it as a sixth grader, they can repeat it as a seventh and eighth grader, thus becoming experts, leaders, and checking off the box on every single one of the portrait of the learner competencies. For that, we give thanks. We were worried about class size, but we know that's not going to be an issue, and we're very grateful. And again, from my heart, I thank you, board members, for giving your time and your energy for the youth of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Nuwan Jayasena.
Hello, my name is Nuwan Jayasena. Thank you for the chance to address you. I also wanted to bring up the decisions around Science Olympiad at Kennedy, and I wanted to implore the board to reconsider the decisions and consider the impact this is having on the students. I'm a father of an eighth grader who's been working on Science Olympiad for 3 years at this point. This is a program that gets kids interested in science like nothing else I've ever seen. It took the combined willpower of my wife and me to convince our son to take a vacation last summer because he wanted to stay at home and get a head start on the devices for his competitions this year. He was super excited when he heard that the winter travel was going to be competition for Science Olympiad. He spent enormous numbers of weekends just working on his devices, preparing for the events. It's a huge sacrifice these kids are making, and nobody's forcing them to do it. And they're not asking for any rewards in return. They're not asking for accolades. They're just asking for a chance to complete the season the way they've been incredibly successful competing across the country. They just want to finish their season, go to the regionals in 2 weeks, and they don't understand why they're not able to finish the season that they deserve the way they deserve to. So I just want to implore the board to consider the impact on the kids. These kids are devastated. They're demoralized. They're shattered because they can't, fulfill what they've been working towards for 3 years at this point. So I really just want to implore the board to work with the parents, help us understand what we could do together to move forward and give these kids the opportunity that they deserve. Thank you again.
The next speaker is Venkat Raghavan. Venkat, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. Do not see Venkat. The next speaker is Zhigang Liang.
Dear CUSD members, hello everyone. I'm Zhigang. I'm here to speaking for my son Michael Liang. So he has been in Kennedy 7th grader and also has been in Science Olympiad for 2 years. So basically before I left home this morning, he asked me to bring this box. Why? Because he told me this is his helicopter. He is flying in the competition. He has put a lot of efforts over there. If he will be told like later on he cannot continue the season for the competition, he will feel very sad. So look at this, is very fragile, right? He has like put a lot of efforts with his partners. So just show you some kind of just one example. So there are like over 100 kids in this program right now. So they're working hard like Michael, right? So they want to continue on this program. So that's why I think many parents over here want to speak up. Just please help us, like we work out together to help the kids to continue on the regional and then, right, to address what are other issues. So we fully understand the investigation, so those kind of things, right? As long as follow protocols, procedures, fine. So, but for the kids, they are innocent. They didn't do anything wrong, right? So they deserve the chance to continue. So I think that is a goal for many of us tonight. By the way, for this box, as you can see, this is support from his sister. He's a 4th grader in Lincoln. So we carry this box everywhere when we go to the competition because we're very proud. We are Kennedy Middle School. All right, thank you.
The next speaker is Madhu Yamani. Following Madhu will be Madhu will be our final speaker.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you so much for everything that you've been doing for the board, been listening to the previous sessions. I'm glad you're thinking not just about our kids' future, but also their safety. You're very valuable for our perspective. And I'm here to request for a tactical plan, a concrete tactical plan, as well as a medium-term plan for the Science Olympiad program. I've seen the facts that were published just before, and I'm glad that you're committed to the long-term support of the Science Olympiad program, but I'm really imploring you to figure out a plan for the tactical need. As you have seen and you've witnessed, so many kids have put countless hours and dedication for this program. So in the last few weeks, when they're trying to get onto the national stage and bring credit, not just to themselves, but the whole district, pulling them off from the competition is very harsh. You know, in your position, to reach that stage, you would have solved lots of big problems. I've never seen a school shut down because somebody in the administration has an allegation, right? So if you want to solve the problem, I'm very confident you will do it, and I trust the board to take the right action. There's an easy action and there's a right action. The right one will take more effort. We are committed to doing whatever it takes to craft that plan, and I sincerely implore you to come up with the tactical plan so that the current batch doesn't get impacted. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes 20 minutes.
Okay, so what will happen here is that we have an agenda to go through here. And if you were following along after item 15, agenda setting, before we go back to closed session, we'll hear the rest of the public comments that are not on the agenda. So with that, then I'd like to move on to item 9.1, Superintendent Report. Superintendent Yao.
Thank you. So I did want to take an opportunity to address the concerns and the very difficult decision that was made to pause the Science Olympiad program. I do want to assure you as well that whenever a district receives a complaint, we take all complaints very seriously. And when we received complaints, we initially started an external investigation regarding what was happening with the Science Olympiad program. As the investigation unfolded, we found evidence of misconduct, potential misappropriation of funds, harassment, and retaliation. The case has now been shared with law enforcement for further action. A requirement, as you know, of the National Science Olympiad organization is that the team have a head coach who is approved by the principal and shall serve as the school's authorized representative at Science Olympiad related events, including tournaments. Further, the district is required to sign off on the authenticity of the team makeup, including the participants are selected without bias, which pending the investigation, we are unable to do at this time. Due to the separation of the previous coach and the seriousness of the investigation, a pause in the program is necessary. We absolutely recognize the disappointment this causes. We also hope that you can understand why a pause in this program is so necessary. We are currently reviewing all of our related policies and procedures because we want to ensure that Kennedy Middle School can operate a Science Olympiad program next year. We are committed to rebuilding the program and providing a safe and equitable environment for all students. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Yao. All right, then, let's move on to, we have two information items tonight. 10.1, this is the issue and sale of the GO bonds. So, Chris?
Sure, thank you. Good evening. Tonight, I'd like to introduce Chick Adams with our bond legal counsel. He will review with you some of the legal requirements of our bond issuance. And so tonight, this is just for information. So let me introduce Chick Adams. And also, I think we have a representative from Dale Scott's firm. Dale wasn't able to join us tonight, but Nicole Roberts may be here as well.
All right, Nicole, welcome.
Welcome, board members. My name is Charles Adams. I'm with the firm Jones Hall. We're a bond counsel firm. We've worked with the district for many years, and we were very happy to be involved in your successful election on Measure Z. As you know, that did pass by the required number of votes, and what you have as an informational item tonight is a resolution that authorizes the initial series of bonds under Measure Z, and that's the Series A bonds. They're authorized in the principal amount of $112,700,000. The bonds will be sold to an underwriting firm on a negotiated basis. I don't believe the underwriting firm has been selected yet. Is that right, Chris? And we're really just here this evening to introduce this item and ask if you have any questions. One of the things the resolution does is approve an offering document. It's called a preliminary official statement. That document describes the bonds, it describes the district, its finances, its operating condition, and we urge all of you to read that carefully. It contains information that you will have personal knowledge of. If you have any comments, corrections, or questions, please refer to your staff and they'll refer to us.
All right.
So that's just a broad overview, and Nicole and I are here if you have any questions.
All right, we'll check. So we'll go down the road here. Satish, do you have any questions for our guests?
No, not really.
Not right now? Okay, well, we can go around. Ava.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Long?
Yeah, I have a question about to say, so what has do we have any say strategy options like say yeah, I understand. Say our current strategy is probably to issue 3 series, and so my understanding is that say for after we issue a bond, and then the interest will start to occur, right? And so that will be interest cost, and I'm wondering, say, do we comparing, say, different strategies, like we issue, say, smaller amounts of the bond, and then we can then we can have less interest. But yeah, I understand that probably will be some fixed cost for each bond, and so just wondering whether there's a feeling there will be an optimization of jobs, and so wondering whether we already did some research on this part.
Well, yes, as you know, the principal amount of the bonds that was authorized under the bond measure is $347 million.
Mm-hmm.
There is no time deadline for issuing those bonds. You tend to issue them as you need the funds for your project, taking into account the tax rate that goes on the tax roll to repay debt service. I don't have any information on how that particular number was arrived at.
I can add.
Sure.
So typically we work with staff as your financial advisor, work with staff to see, okay, how much funds do you need for what project you're currently working on? And depending on how fast funds can be spent, it's usually the amount that gets issued, because like you said, don't want to issue a huge amount that staff can't spend on a timely basis for your intern interest, right? So the bonds right now are not to exceed 122.7 million. So we continue working with staff to make sure that number is the right amount that they can spend over the time period that they need it, and then get ready for the next measure B and measure C, or however many measure or series is needed to complete the project during the period of time. So we're constantly reviewing the cash flow and the time period it takes the district to complete projects with tons of.
Nicole, could you also maybe touch upon the concept of arbitrage? Because as I think as our board member is wondering, if we issue bonds in smaller amounts or larger amounts, as you mentioned first, it's all determined based upon the need as far as the number of projects, but there's really no need or probably any good intentions to try to sell more bonds that you can use because there's an arbitrage piece to this.
Yeah, I'll take that because it's a requirement of federal tax law. When you issue your bonds, you are required to certify that you reasonably expect to spend at least 85% of the proceeds within 3 years. We generally advise that you should size your bond issue based on the 3-year window for expenditure. You really don't want to have any bond proceeds remaining unspent after 3 years. Or as Chris mentions, there are certain federal tax restrictions that come into effect under arbitrage law. So
Okay, so
that's
3
the
years.
general rule of thumb for sizing a bond issue.
Thank you.
Okay, but just following up on that, then it sounds like then given this 3-year limit window, we're probably not likely to see a Series B on this until 23 years from now, at least. Chris, is that the current?
That would be the idea. Obviously, we still have to come back to you with a formal program implementation plan, but once we dial that in, it'll tie the timeline together.
Okay. And so presumably what's driving this 122.7 number is that there's a set of projects we've already priced out. Is that trying to arrive why this and not why 118 or 125?
I think initially was that we were always looking at issuing the bonds over a period of 3 series.
Okay.
So this is roughly about a third of the total $347 million. One other thing to think about also is that no, actually, that's the main reason. That was the main reason.
All right. And then if you could speak a bit about the timeline of the process. So the board, approves the issuance of Series A. What happens? Is there an auction? When does that happen? If you could speak a bit about that.
Absolutely. So after the resolution comes back for approval, shortly after that, there'll be a rating agency meeting that Chris and our team will and Chick's team will be at and go through financials of the district. The rating agency will come back with the rating. That time we'll be able to finalize the preliminary official statement, which will go out to investors. By then we'll have an underwriter on board, as Chris said, that they're in the process of selecting an underwriter. And then we'll go into the market. It'll be a negotiated sale. We'll work with the underwriter to look at comparables in the market, look at treasury rates and negotiate interest rates for these bonds. And when rates are set, takes about 2 weeks after bonds are sold to close, and then the district will receive funds.
So in terms of the timing for working with the underwriters to set the interest, after we've had the ratings and all that, are we looking at summer? We're looking at fall?
Mid-May.
Mid-May. Terrific. Okay, thank you. Answers my question. Does anyone have anything else to follow up on? Okay, if not, I think, do we have any public comments on this item, Aaron?
No, we do. No, we do not.
Okay, well, I think then we're good. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then moving on, the next item here is, and they're going to come back as, I'm sorry, this is going to come back as.
This will come back as an action item. at the next
Okay,
meeting.
since it's a resolution. Okay, and then the district transportation, and welcome, Todd.
I'm back.
Yes.
So the transportation plan you have in front of you is our Cupertino annual plan that we need to submit to the state. It is a requirement to receive 60% reimbursement from the state for our transportation costs. The Home to School Transportation Reimbursement Funding Program is a state program to assist school districts in providing the safest and most efficient transportation service for our passengers, our students. We are presenting our plan this evening for your information. We're going to amend some wording in it, and we'll seek board ratification at the March 13th meeting.
Just really quickly, the section 1 basically is asking us, do we provide general education, home to school transportation? And it's no. Section 2, do we provide transportation for pupils with disabilities and homeless children? Yes. With that, students with disabilities who have transportation as a related service in their individualized education plan, aka IEP, are provided transportation services provided in the least restrictive environment. That's one of our amendments will be least, not least. When the IEP specifies service is to be provided by the district, is provided via school bus. Homeless students who are eligible for transportation by the above criteria or by bus service requests are also provided transportation services via school bus or public transportation fare tokens. Section 3 asks, do we provide transportation for unduplicated pupils? The answer is no. And then section 4, consultation. Transportation for students with disabilities is determined through consultation with parents, teachers, school administrators, and classified transportation staff on an annual basis. Our plan for reimbursement this year equates to $847,032.49. Questions?
All right, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, so one question. So you said 85% you get it? Or what? Did you say any percentage?
60%.
60%. So this 847 is the 100% or it's a 60%?
It is, so the count we have projected transportation expenses, we remove the less capital outlay, less non-agency expenditures, estimated reimbursement.
Let me take a stab at this. So going back in time before LCFF funding for transportation was a categorical program. It was a state fixed amount. When the LCFF came into play, they rolled all of those programs into our minimum state, like a block grant for the state. When that was all done initially with the LCFF, none of those transportation funds were subject to any of the COLAs over the years. A few years back, when they put this provision in place where they were enabling school districts to be reimbursed back an additional 60% of their total transportation costs. So that allows us to ask for a reimbursement in this case, that $847,000, because that's 60% of what our annual transportation spend down is. So it's just a compliance piece that enables us to ask for the state to provide us some additional funding, because obviously transportation programs don't fully pay for themselves. So that's why.
Thank you. And is it guaranteed that we get this money, or once you ask it, or again, there will be a
subject to having a plan approved every year and subject to submitting a reimbursement?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Ava, do you have any questions?
That was my question.
Okay, well.
Good job, Satish.
Your benefit of going first. Long.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. And I have a question about say what is a capital outlay, as that's our account money, or so that's some.
Well, capital outlay will include new used buses or equipment.
Okay, so that's a part of our capital purchase, right?
Correct.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
All right, thanks. I don't have any questions. Thanks for the presentation. Aaron, do we have any public comments on this item?
No, we do not.
Okay, do we have any other thing? Otherwise, thank you, Todd, for the update. All right.
So staff would like to bring this back on the 13th and place it on the consent agenda for your consideration.
Sounds good.
Thanks for letting us know, Chris.
All right, excellent. All right, moving on to section 11, discussion item, discussion action. We have one item. It's selection of the candidates for Region 20 Delegate Assembly. Who will introduce this item?
I will introduce it and then turn it over to you. So we are part of the California School Board Association. We are Region 20. It is the time of the year to select delegates for our region. There are 4 openings and you have 7 candidates to select. we would select up to 4 candidates, and it really is up to the board's decision as to who you would like to move those names forward. And I believe we have to submit them to the county by March 15th.
By March 15th, okay. Right. Thank
So
you.
I'll turn it over to you. And
All right, I guess I'll open up the floor here to see if folks have comments to add or,
I can give a little background.
sure, thank
Sure.
you, Ava.
So we're uniquely in Santa Clara County as our school district. And in the regional space of California School Board Association, we're in Region 20. In Region 20, they have allotted 12 delegates and 11 elected and 1 appointed. The appointed position is like the director of our region, which is Santa Clara County. And I say unique because most other regions in CSBA has a combination, maybe some overlap of other counties. We happen to be uniquely the county and the region at the same time. It kind of makes it easier. Then the other delegates are elected. Half of the 11 are elected in 1 year and the other half on other. So every year we have to do this where half of are elected and then the other half goes for the next year. So in this cycle here, we have 4 openings available with 7 candidates. Looking at here, I was looking at so anyway, do people have any questions besides the background?
No, that was good context. I didn't
Yeah.
know about the county region overlap or, that was new. So thanks for that. Do you have any, I guess maybe one item is Sylvia's not here. We can move forward with this today, or is there time to table this till, I think the next meeting will be on the 13th. And if we don't need to do this to the 15th, that's one possibility. I just want to throw that out there. Is that,
we could postpone it till the 13th and do it at the next board meeting.
or we could go ahead if folks felt like they like to.
I think it's, yeah, wait for Sylvia is a good idea.
I don't have much of information.
So
At least few people I know.
I'm
Not everyone.
not too involved in
Correct.
region politics, so I would, Ava,
In the past, we've chosen people based on like if it's elementary school, a unified school, or a high school district and county. And I kind of was doing that.
okay,
but I
well,
don't.
I have names to throw out.
Sure.
But why don't you go first? And yeah, just if folks have names they like to see, I'll start a tally here. We'll do a little tick marks or something. I don't know what. But so who like to go first with potential slates of up to 4 they like to see?
I know the people who are not incumbents. That's a challenge.
Okay, well, let's hope voters don't think that way.
So that's a challenge.
No,
So I don't know how they did others,
Okay.
especially like the incumbents. So I think either you or Sylvia would be doing better maybe
So
than us.
let's throw out
No, I'll
numbers here, 1 through 7, they're numbered here. If you could, anyone wants to go first, throw out some numbers they like to see. And there's,
It looks like the candidates that were elected from 2024
Mhm.
had 1 high school district, 2 unified, which means it has high school and elementary,
Okay.
and the elementary school district. However, that elementary school district, and then the new ones, if we're selecting 4, I kind of looked like we have a good representation of unified.
Okay.
So I was thinking number 1, which it sounds like unified,
Okay.
just because the region area too, like we kind of look at geographical area. Number 4, because it's a high school district.
Okay.
I didn't choose number 3 because they already have a representative from that same district from last year in 2024.
Okay.
And then I went with number 6. Because it's an elementary school district. The elementary school districts are not represented very much, and it's also the only elementary school district on that side of our county.
Okay.
And then number 7, again, it's an elementary school district. The person who was there in that position is now a county board member.
Okay. All right, well, thanks. So 1, 4, 6, and 7. Share slate. Would anybody else like to share one? Happy to go next otherwise.
You can go.
So my selection criteria, I to be honest, I didn't really look at, and it's good, I have different ways of looking at it. It's really for me, just like I think most people, how they vote for things, people I know that I think would do a good job. So it's probably more from that perspective. And I also read all the statements, especially there's a question on what do you think the problems are, facing CSB and how you address it. So so who I liked, just coming down the list, I think, Van, number 3 is someone I know. I do understand, and we should talk about that. The fact that Eastside Union already has someone. I think Naomi from our sister district, Fremont Union, she's somebody who has served the community, someone I strongly support. Jorge also is someone I know, has put in the work in serving the trustee community, and Vishali over in Los Altos. I do recognize they're all sort of cluster close to Cupertino, probably because these are the folks I know, but right now I'm very open to discussions, but right now mine will be 3, 4, 5, and 7. Anybody else like to throw ideas or thoughts in the hat here? You don't have to choose all 4. We as a group don't need to, so.
So it looks like you both have the common is 4 and 7.
Yes, for 4 and 7, yes, we see them all the time, so.
Yeah, I'm okay. I know 4 and 7 well. So that's what I was saying. They are not incumbents. So 4 and 7 seems okay.
All
At
right.
least since 2 of you said also,
Yeah.
I'm also okay for 4 and 7.
It's interesting. I really like how we have different ways
Yeah.
of looking at it. The problem with my thing is I know everybody.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, then I will try to the least subjective way, I was trying to be more objective.
Okay,
Yeah, in terms of representation, because sometimes high school district have certain issues and
Yeah.
unified and elementary. And then I do want to mention they already have a county board member from last year.
Sure. No, I think that's.
And Jorge is also quite active person. I think at a bigger level as well, right? A teacher as well.
Not
He's a teacher as well.
He
Not anymore.
was a
Not a
teacher or
teacher
no?
anymore?
No.
No, okay.
Yeah.
He used to, okay.
And then Long, did you?
Well, yeah, I only know Naomi and have an opposite problem with Eva.
So do we need to have or up to 4 or up to 4?
Up to 4. You don't have to nominate 4. It's up to
I think
4.
I don't know, Jerry, my opinion. I think Sylvia would have had some strong opinion.
Probably.
Yeah, but she's missing that. It's up to all of
So,
us here.
If
Should we wait or not?
We have time allowance. That's why we did put it on as a discussion action in case you wanted to discuss and come back and think about it, and then we could bring it back
So
as
again,
an
this will
action.
become a
but-
discussion.
Yeah, so
But we would need to take action on the 13th in order for it to
Yeah,
meet.
no discussion.
So the deadline is
No, we can do
15,
it.
right?
We can bring it back as discussion action on the 13th as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And just I really like how we have a commonality of 4 and 7.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
4 and 7 looks okay. At least I think Sylvia also would join that.
Okay,
Yeah,
so maybe we have a sense where folks are, and then we bring this back on the 13th as discussion action. I think we can
Yeah.
incorporate Sylvia's inputs. Do we have any public comments on this item?
No, we do not.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to the action section. We have 3 things. The first one, approval of the reopener proposal with SEIU. Mike? Do you have
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
This is just for your approval. We had brought forth the district.
We need to
I
make
think
it.
we need a motion on the table. My bad. Apologies. Could I entertain a
I'm just going.
motion? I know
I'll
you're
make the
going.
motion.
All right,
I'll
thank
make the
you, Satish. Can I get a second?
Oh, second.
Thank you, Ava. All right, Mike, sorry about that. Please continue.
Yeah, last time we were here, I brought forth CUSD sunshine proposal. And we had received SEIU's proposal, so we're just asking that you take action on these and vote so we can start negotiations with them.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mike or comments? No? Okay, any public comments on this, Aaron?
No, we do not.
Okay, maybe let's go for a roll call vote then, please. So actually we have, let's go ahead. It's action. Yeah, let's go and vote on this. Thank you.
Trustee Zhao,
Aye.
trustee Chow,
Aye.
trustee Manhattan,
Aye.
trustee Lu.
Aye. All right, thank you. Let's moving on to 12.2, this is resolution 242517, the reduction of classified staff. Okay, sir, is there a motion?
It has to make a motion to discuss even this, right? So
You can make a motion and then we would discuss and you would determine whether afterwards if you want to.
okay,
vote.
so I can make a motion for the discussion purpose, not for, yeah,
Okay,
for the approval purpose. Okay.
All right.
I'll make a motion to discuss this.
I'll second.
thank you, Ava. Mike, I assume you're the presenter
And
also?
I think for Mike, just a reminder, as we're bringing these forward, there are certain requirements when we do layoffs. Those do come into open session. So there are different types of reductions and a layoff, it is done in open session. And so that's why you'll sit on the agenda tonight during open session. And then as we are having this discussion, really the reflection back when we brought our first interim forward in December and looked at where our budget was, and we had identified that we were going to need to make some reductions in staffing. We also had a discussion about where might those reductions come. I know that we had feedback from the board as to certain areas or certain concerns, certain things that they wanted to have us consider. And so we did take all of that back as we looked at these areas. We don't provide names on these because these individuals have not been spoken to yet. And so we do want to make sure we maintain that confidentiality. So while we can talk about the positions in the broad realm of it, we do want to be very cautious that they are attached to people or a vacancy, but they are related to people. So we do want to maintain that confidentiality as well. And I'll turn it over to Mike.
Okay. So just to give a little background, every time, every year about this time, we go through the same exercise and, we look at the future. And with these layoff proposals that we're bringing forward, it's based on the fact that there is you can only lay off for a couple reasons: lack of work, lack of funds. Mm-hmm. And so what I've done is I'll read this, give you a little breakdown, because I know this is a lot to digest, and it's like Stacy said, it's personal because it's people. So the recommendations for the classified layoffs are due to a couple of things: site funding shortages, a lack of work, and a decline in parent organizational contributions. These financial challenges
Siri's helping you out.
AI. All right. So these financial challenges are exacerbated by, the ongoing salary increases that we've had and the increase in the rising benefit costs, in addition to reduced enrollment. While the total reduction of 18.937 full-time equivalent positions may seem substantial, it's important to note that these reductions are spread across 21 employees. So it's not all, not one person, footing a high portion of this, not two people footing a high portion of this, but it's spread across 21 employees, with adjustments ranging from 30 minutes to 2 hours of reductions to their schedule. Additionally, there are 7 eliminated FTE positions, are either management roles or current vacant positions that are further minimizing the direct impact on existing employees. Of the total reductions, 6 of these reductions are due to lack of funds from parent groups. We meet with our principals. Chris meets with them, talks about what the cost is for our parent groups to support these people that they pay for. And then the parent groups report back to the principals and tell them that they, at this point, due to the rising costs, can still afford those or cannot afford those. So 6 of these reductions are due to lack of funds from parent groups, while the remaining 15 are due to site or district categorical funding shortages. We understand that these reductions cause concern. We're committed to working collaboratively with CSEA leadership. We've already set up a time on March 4th with their whole team, our whole team, to work through Article 26 of the collective bargaining layoffs agreements and reductions. In the past, we've successfully mitigated a lot of these reductions by being creative, by working together, and trying to help people find a soft landing. And we'll do everything we can do to support our staff during this entire process.
Thank you, Mike. Let's go around with questions. Maybe first, if Satish.
Okay, it's a tough spot to ask this question. So I have a few questions anyway. So there are, I see the 5 places that are vacant, right? So you said total 21. So these positions attribute to how many kind of that vacant thing? There are vacant, like for example, bus drivers vacant. So 2.65. So
yeah, they're 2.65 because they're 7-hour employees. So that's 3 bus driving positions that are vacant.
Okay. So you said total 21 people, right?
Total 21 people, because one person might be a half an hour, another person might be an hour. You know, so they're 21 people with their reductions all added together equal 18.937.
So the reductions on some of these range from 30-minute reduction up until a full-time reduction. So there's 2 different numbers. One is the number of people and the other is the number of FTEs. So it's any increments of 8 hours equal FTE. So that could be 8 people, it could be 1 person, anywhere with that range, just to clarify the 2 different numbers.
Okay, so the vacant positions are, we kept it because we could not get the people, or we have the kind of a ruck open and left it for long, or what can you explain?
So specifically on the bus drivers, they have been vacant for quite a while. There is definitely the feedback that we don't need those positions. We're able to cover all the routes with our current drivers. And so that was a natural place to look at some of the reductions. We tried to look at those vacancies first because there aren't people associated with them, and remove those vacancies. So we do not see the need to fill those positions, nor could we at the time. All of our routes are being covered.
Yeah, because is there any other vacant positions which we still have it, but probably it'll be hard for you to say, but do you have any other vacant position now it's not filled, which we could have done by moving something? I'm trying to reduce the impact as much as possible.
Sure.
Because personal, but I'm not making the comments here, but still though, it is not easy.
Yeah.
So if you can make the impact very minimal by moving around these vacancies, that would be great.
So that is one of the first activities we did. We went through all of our vacancies, and we actually did that before first interim, and then we came back and again. And so that there are representations of the vacancies that we're able to do. There weren't enough that we could recoup the amount of funds we were hoping to accomplish. And so that is where you'll see, scattered vacancies here and there on there. The other thing that I think as part of the composition of this is a reminder that when we had our discussion about Cooperdoodle, and we are closing the Cooperdoodle operating over at the Montclair campus next year, they're going to be relocated over here at Meyerholtz. What that allowed us to do is reduce the number of staff, because we don't need as many staff because they can share the classrooms here. And so there are actually 6 full FTEs that are being reduced under here because of that closure of the program over at Montclair and relocating them here at Meyerholtz.
Well, that's what this preschool
It would be
Yes.
the preschool teachers and the preschool
aides,
which are a total of 6 positions.
Okay, and the last one, the financial benefit of this been, is it driven by the total amount, or is it? I know the lack of work is one. I think I heard that, but still a financial assessment has been done on.
Well, it's twofold. One is, we don't want to lose people. That is never our first intent, and so that's why it is easier to look at vacant positions, because there's obviously not a service being done at that time. And then we really do look at where could we trim down? We are in declining enrollment. We are looking at what programs, what services. And so we really went across the entire board in all areas and just said, where could we maybe reduce and squeeze down? Do we have some, and I don't mean the word extra, but where we could maybe tighten up a little bit.
Right here on the agenda item, it says there's an estimated cost savings of 2 million.
Okay, yeah, I saw that,
Yeah.
2044,
Yeah. That's salary and burdens.
yeah, I'll wait for.
Okay, thanks, Satish. Ava, any questions?
Yes, thank you, Jerry. So I think Satish kind of covered like how we're determining that. That was like one of my questions. Benefits of going first. The other question is I noticed that in the list of this is classified, there's a director, manager, supervisor one is which is vacant, and supervisor 1A. Those are the classified administrators.
Yes.
correct? Are we also having administrators for the certificated?
That would be a different process. This is only the process for classified.
Right, but if I remember, I think for certificated or
So for certificated, in most cases, they would be reassigned to the classroom based on if they met the, we would, if we had a need to, lay off a position for cost saving measures or lack of work or lack of funds. For the most part, not every single, but for the most part, they would be assigned back to the classroom.
And those
Good.
type of processes are done in closed session.
yeah, I was just in terms of balance, and I understand it's I stopped short of saying things of closed session, but thinking about that and I kind of I'll wait till comments for
Yeah.
that part. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. I think that's the ones I have. The others are comments.
Okay,
For now.
thanks.
Thank
Ava.
you.
All right, we'll come around and Long.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I have several questions. Say for the first one is that say what is a student success liaisons? Why it's
That's a position we added 2 years ago. They are the person who does campus supervision,
okay.
works with kids, sits in on the PBIS teams and the MTSS, works with kids as a trusted adult, does conflict mediation, is another set of eyes and legs.
Okay, so
on
it's
campus.
why it's not a part of this 18.
Their reduction is, we are keeping those positions. We're reducing them from a 12-month down to a 10-month. So they'll be there during the school year with the students. There wasn't the need as we move forward with our summer programs. We don't have the number of programs that we felt needed to have the two on each of those campuses.
Okay.
So they will still maintain their positions. It'll just be a reduction in months.
Okay, I see. So that will be a salary reduction as well.
It would result in a salary reduction, yes.
Okay. Yeah, another question is that say for our fund shortage, is that related to the COVID fund or not?
I mean, the fund shortage is, yes, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's everything. Like I said, the cost of doing business, the cost of benefits cost, the cost of salary increases, the cost of step and column, everything that we spend money on out of our funds is.
And just a reminder, a big piece of that is when we did bring in the first interim and had talked about this is our last year that we have our COVID funds where they all needed to be expended. And so that is a loss of about 8 million. We had tried to push that spending out as long as we can. Even last year, we had converted some of the positions and covered those funds, knowing that we would have to make some decisions on this year, whether we continue those positions that were covered under the COVID funds, or if we do choose to continue those positions, we would have to reduce some positions otherwhere. So $8 million is out at that time. That is a big impact on our budget as well.
Okay, does that mean say after we lose of the COVID fund and we might see more of the layoffs?
And so due to the timeframe, this is our opportunity to bring forward the layoffs. We have a March 15th deadline. And so if you do not approve the layoffs, then these people would stay in the budget. And we would see next week when we bring back the second interim, then we would be looking at making some other cuts in some other way. If we can't reduce personnel, then we would be reducing programs and services.
I see. So I see. So there's a lot of some of the positions are vacant. I'm wondering, say, how many of our current vacant positions in our district?
How many current vacancies do we have?
Right.
We've closed all the vacant positions at this point, except for a few positions that somebody has left for current, because this is for next year.
Okay.
So right now we have people who are leaving positions currently, and that's why we're flying positions for people who are leaving currently this year. You know, we have an IA that leaves, we have to fill that position, for services and so on and so forth. So
we have vacant positions every day. It's just the nature of, as personnel come and go. So there's always a vacancy. And what we do right now is look at the vacancy and determine, is it a position that we need to fill, or is it a position that we could possibly pause on? And so that was a whole activity went through on this. So there were some vacancies that we have now, and we determined absolutely we do need to still continue to fly that position and fill it. And so we're in that process as well, but trying to look ahead. Are there any of those positions that we could possibly still operate with minimal impact? There's an impact anytime there's a change in personnel.
Okay, I see. So if they apply for other positions, and will they have a priority?
Do you want to talk about bumping rights and?
I see. The bumping is based on the seniority list. Okay. So for classified folks, it's based on the seniority list and the job classification. I can't bump into a job that I've never had before. So if I've had a job and then I promoted or moved over to another job, then I would have bumping rights into two categories or two classifications. So it's based on hire date. So whoever was hired earlier than the next person has seniority over that person, and everybody hired under them.
The other thing that HR does immediately after moving forward with this resolution and the process is, again, meeting with the union, but also meeting with the employees, because the intent is to find them a position if at all possible. And so they may be laid off from this position, but again, because of the nature of schools, people resign and move on, we have openings. And so over the course of between March and the end of the year, we have had a very positive track record of finding people another position. It may not be the exact type of position, but we do really try to ensure that they have some type of employment if they choose to stay with CUSD.
Okay, I see. So the layoff is based on the seniority. So that means say the shorter the seniority, the higher chance to get a layoff. Is that right?
They do. There could be interest in a different position too. For example, a custodian may be interested in being an IA, or so there is some of that crossover. It really is. It's HR working with that individual to see where they can help support them.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I also have some comment, but I will wait.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Law. Let's see. So mine are. Let's see. Where do I start? So back at first interim, we had seen some numbers, and I think we were solving for 2.3 for 3 years, right? And so when I look at this resolution and then the one after it. This one is about 2 million and change. The other one is about 250K. So they add up to about 2.3. And so I guess I was surprised to see so much of it landing. It's about 90% of that landing on the classified. And I was just wondering if you could speak to that. I do see looking at, so I guess maybe there's sort of two questions here. One is just the what would seem on paper to see sort of the imbalance here. Across the different groups, but then also we talked about, and there's a director and a manager here. So I guess I'm sort of Just I wonder if you comment a bit on what led to the imbalance here, because I would think I do understand some of it, like maybe the preschool program going away or the parent funding going away, but it just seems like 90% of it is landing on classified of the 2.3 we're solving for. Could you help me understand a little bit more the sort of the rationale that led to that?
Sure. Unfortunately, it's never going to be a perfect scenario. You know, you can't do one for one for one for one.
Sure.
You know, so it ends up being driven on lack of work and lack of funding. That's why they want to take out all the other things that you could do aside from these two things. And so as they go through this, we work with the principals, the principals work with the parent groups, and they sit down and they say, well, this is what we have. We don't have enough work for this person based upon whatever reason. Maybe the enrollments decline, maybe, you know, other things happen. And so that's how they decide. And it's hard when you're looking at classified people and comparing them to certificated people, comparing them to SEIU, because at any given time, the pendulum can switch and you can say, well, we have a lot less kids now. So now we need to reduce the number of teachers, and we're just not in that point at this time. And if we were in such bad position to where we had to say, hey, we have to reduce the number of teachers to bring stuff up, then other things happen. You know, we'd have to make the classes bigger and all those things, and that's not what our priority is right now. So it's not a perfect answer, but it's how the chips fall when you do this.
I might just say maybe considering looking at a different perspective, because I know when you look at the list, it does look predominantly CSEA. But if you look at the amount of employees that fall under a CSEA organization versus the amount that fall into management versus the amount that come into SEIU, the percentages are much closer together. So because again, remember the FTEs, when we think about the FTEs, they do relate to more people because CSEA has more part-time people. And, you know, I know we heard earlier about the concern with that, but that's the reality that is our one classification that has more part-time employees than any others.
Okay, all right, thanks. And then earlier we heard a comment about IA positions being posted and IA positions being eliminated here. Will we not just like move the people over?
That's what I addressed with current needs now. And the reality of it is, if we hire somebody that's a current need right now, they probably will be the first one on the bump list. Okay. But we have to have, we're talking about, we have to finish 24-25 first, so we can go into to the next year. So we have to.
And then some of the, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just wondering, so some of these items marked vacant, like the interventionalist or the IAs for Title I, they seem like those are needs for the district, but it sounds like they just got on the list because they weren't filled. Like if they were filled, they probably wouldn't be on the list to be eliminated.
It's hard to say based on how much use was being done with them. You know, that's why some of these things are on here, because, you know, they were developed, but they were underutilized. So, I mean, when you look at the sensibility of dollars and cents, you know, something that is underutilized.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I just wanted to add that a reminder that on that March 15th deadline, that is our deadline to provide layoff notices. And if we don't provide a notice, then we're not able to move forward on a layoff. We can always come back and rehire these individuals. So it's always in a district's best interest to be as conservative as possible and to issue any possible layoff to give us the protection as we move forward with our budget. Again, it gives the HR department time to work with the individuals. It could be that somebody leaves and we're able to fill that in. It could be that in May, our budget may change as we hear more news. But if we don't do this process right now, then our hands really are tied moving forward.
Thank you. All right, those are my questions. So we'll one more question around. Okay, sounds like
a couple of more questions. Like one is, I know that you guys must have done a lot of diligence. You must have put it in this, but still I'm asking, have you consider about natural attritions and things like that? Because typically, and I know when they give the notice and things like that, but probably some of these people or some other positions may be going to be vacant or they'll be leaving it. Did we consider that?
So I can answer that, Satish. That's what I said, that most of these things get mitigated out by the end. And so, like I said, you have to do your layoff projections for next year. We don't know what next year's going to look like. We're only dealing with what we know now. And so there may be attrition, there may be retirements, there may be people moving, and then those people find a nice landing spot. So that's why I said most of these will be mitigated through the process.
But in case it's not,
Yeah.
we provided the safeguard of providing.
Yeah.
the
And I know it sounds kind of weird, but if somebody takes a layoff, they assume a lot of rights to being rehired. So it's a safeguard. You know, some people would rather, and I'm not saying, you know, this is what happens a lot, but some people they take the option of being laid off because then they go on the layoff list rather than take a reduction, because as soon as that job comes open with that number of hours or that classification, they're the first to be hired back. So, I mean, it's not an ideal thing, but there's safeguards to it.
You know, the other piece too is, again, just because of deadlines and timelines, we do want to ensure that, you know, fiscally we're moving the district forward. We are still continuing to explore other ways to save money. We're working with the unions about early retirement incentive that would bring back some of those savings. So it is an ongoing. It's just when that March 15th deadline is looming over you, you do have to make some difficult decisions.
I'm sure again you must have considered, but what is the impact on the workload now? Like let's say 21 full-time or 18 full-time equivalent, 21 physical people moving out. Is it that the work is going to be increased for the existing people, or how are you going to distribute this impact?
I think that would be dependent on what the position is. Some of the positions are probably being laid off because of lack of work. I know parent organizations, some are lack of funds. We don't distinguish between the two, whether it's a lack of funds or lack of work. They fall under unilateral.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Can you make sure that I'm looking at the right thing of the list? Like, looking at the list, which one of the our administrators, are there any that I'm missing? Director, manager, supervisor 1 vacant, and supervisor 1A?
The first 4 would fall under management,
Okay.
classified management.
And so does that mean, I guess I got confused, the student success liaisons? So are they just classified?
They're members of CSEA.
Yes.
Okay.
They were put in a different spot because it's not a layoff of position. That looks a little confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not a layoff position. That's why we wrote on their
Reduction in hours, but yeah, because it was different, I wanted to clarify if it was management or non-management. And if we're reducing from 12 to 10, and that totals up to 4 people, in terms of the accumulation hours, so how many student success liaisons do we have in the district?
We have 4.
Oh.
We have 4, so all 4
So
would be
okay.
reduced down to a school year, a student school
It's
year.
not 4 positions. It's just 4 from 10 to 12.
There's
4 positions.
4 positions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was a bit confused on that. I like, I guess you kind of answered some of my question on, can we cut back on maybe spending? I mean, these are just open questions. I don't need answers now, but maybe looking at contract work, and I know that typically when we hire contractors for positions, they tend to be much more expensive than if we hire within and have one of our employees, even including like benefits and such. But yeah, those are my questions. And thank you for giving me that time.
Thanks, David. Along.
Okay, I have another question. Say, for some companies, when they lay off, that's a package Okay, and I'm wondering, say, whether we provide the, no.
No, that's not an educational thing.
Okay.
I think the difference that it may be so when companies lay off, layoff is usually immediate and there's a severance. When we lay off, they're still employed through June 30th of this school year.
Okay.
Little bit of a trade-off.
And they have the layoff rights as well. I don't know if they do that in the corporate world.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess the question I have is a procedural one, which is, well, so this is the first time we've seen this. This is like our first reading, and I understand that the next regular board meeting's on the 13th, and that there wouldn't be enough time to submit by the 15th. But I'm, you know, this is kind of thing I wonder procedurally, it may be possible to have a special meeting later, maybe next week or something, just to, would that give staff time? Because I think some of the things I'm still thinking about is that bigger picture around, you know, we've talked about sort of the structure, and I know we have a few management's openings here. I feel like we're solving for 2.3. There's 2.05 here, there's 250 in the other resolution, but that overall bigger picture, I don't know, I'm still kind of mulling through my mind. I'm just wondering procedural wise, would there be time?
So after the board approves, or say the board approves these, we have until March 15th to give the layoff notice.
Okay.
So if this went to the 13th, we would only have the 14th to give the layoff notices. And so I don't feel like
that's enough time.
Yeah.
I agree. But I'm wondering if we had a special meeting next week. If we're up for it, if that would give, if that's.
We do have a special board meeting, March 4th, second interim review.
We do
Reminder.
have a special.
When is that? 6th?
No, March 4th.
March 4th.
March
Tuesday.
4th. Oh,
Tuesday.
I've forgotten about that. Okay, all right, thank you. I guess we do have a meeting on March 4th.
So you can have more agenda in that typically?
We can have as many agenda items on there as we want. Double checking with Mike because my HR memory is not always that good anymore. Is there any restrictions on taking action on a resolution for layoffs on a special board meeting that you're aware
I've
of?
never had that happen before.
All right, just wondering. I don't have any other questions.
I think
Comment?
let me ask you a question, if that's okay. Since you brought it up, what is the expectation also? That I think then I want to.
Well, I think
clear,
it's just
then we can-
procedurally, we've had a practice of not voting on things the first time we see them.
Okay.
Right, this is the first time we've seen these, and so just wanting to, because I think that, you know, Phyllis were here, should be, you know, doing that Phyllis thing about, but Phyllis isn't here to us, so it's fine, I'm not trying to invoke Phyllis, but I think there is wisdom in sort of mulling this over a little bit, we've talked about it, but I
was wondering whether more, are we expecting any different? I think that's what I think important thing. Which I am curious, so.
I feel like I see a little bit of the bigger puzzle, which is, I think there's a, you know, the financial picture and the organization that we've talked about, and I don't know what that is still. I do see how this solves for the reduction in force for the 25-26 school year, but what we talked about in the first interim is there's like 2 more of these, and what do we expect those to look like? Right, I just remembering back on that slide, we had incurred some, I think it was 6 million in one-time costs that added to our costs, and I don't have a good sense of what that 6 million was, and so how come we're not rolling that back rather than these? I think it's just, and some of these we could do over, you know, Friday updates and all that. I'm not trying to be a jerk here about it, but I'm not sure how comfortable I am voting on this tonight, but I'll listen to you guys, and maybe I will in.
I guess my ask would be if we could be provided a little bit more clarification, what the expectation would be to come back at the next meeting. Because currently we've built out a second interim with this proposal in and would be able to show that on Tuesday. So if this was something you wanted to bring back alongside of the second interim, but between now and Tuesday, if I could just have clarification, are you asking us to go back and identify different reductions, additional reductions?
I see.
New reductions? I'm just not sure what that expectation is.
So
between now and
basically, we
Tuesday.
have to hit a 2.3 number by March 15th.
That is what we've kind of built out, our second interim that we'd be able to share. And again, second interim is a time at the moment and can always be changed and will probably change before you do a multi-year
Let me
adoption.
think about this. Let me send a token down this way for
Yeah,
comments.
I'm okay.
Thank you for that.
I'm okay. Lack of work, if you say that, probably that makes definitely. Yeah, we don't want to, if there's no work, then definitely that's not a fair thing.
Then let me go on record for clarification.
Yeah.
Anytime we do layoffs, there could be potentially that work is impacted. That is an impact of layoffs, whether it's lack of funds or lack of work. There may be some work that others have to pick up. That is a nature oftentimes that may happen. Yes.
For a clarification, if there is a layoff, we have to negotiate the effects of the layoff. I mean, we have to meet with our groups and negotiate just what you're talking about. And that's part of the meeting that we have when there's layoffs.
So you mean this already been communicated? No, I did not get it.
No.
It's already.
No,
been
it has
union-
not. No,
Union
it's
is
not.
already been involved in this talk or no?
I'm sorry.
I mean, CA or CSE
The
or others,
union?
they are aware of. it? No.
They've been apprised of things, but they don't know everything.
They know.
Not till after.
They don't know the specifics of
They
the
don't know the
who.
specifics.
Just another point of clarification, I think the system is built on these type of things because if the layoff notices are delivered, they're going to be delivered, by March 15th. If we move along and we find other places to cut money and so on and so forth, you pull them back. If you decide that these, if the board decides these are places that we want to bring back, I just don't know how you decide at that point. That's the tough thing, which one is. So, I mean, my recommendation would be to go through the process, we deliver the notices, and then after we continue because the school sites have also done their staffing and their master schedules built on these.
Yeah, let us get, okay, or.
Working on.
In my opinion, yeah, let's put this also as part of our special board. One more look, then we can get it. I support you, what you said, so that it's not the first time when we are approving it. And I think we have given our comment, or most of us have given the comments in a way, questions or comments. So, I would request one more deeper look into whatever we said, like, the determined or any of those kind of things where we can really, that's what I'm getting underline. The lack of work, I'm okay with that. Means like we don't need a position. Then we are okay. Yeah, we absolutely, I don't want to say, but it is really not meeting the requirement, that position. So other things probably still we need this position, but we are short of money. So double click if we can on that, that'd be great. So that we can see that this impact can be reduced. That's it. Yeah.
Ava.
Oh, yeah, I forgot I did have a question. So with the preschool teachers, if we are cutting the 4 preschool teachers and 2 preschool instructional assistants, my understanding at Montclair that there were 2 classrooms there, and we're moving the students and everybody to Meyer Holtz. Currently, Meyer Holtz has 4 classrooms. If I remember correctly from the presentation given by Michelle, the director, in order for the plan out so that we are having more of a profit to kind of go into the building fund is to have 6 classrooms worth of students. So right now it has 4. How are we cutting the 4 teachers and 2 instructional assistants if we're opening 2 more at Meyer Holtz? Like
Our plan did not include adding 6 classes over here. It was to add 1 additional one. And with the current staffing here, Director Heritage believes she has it configured so that it is covered with preschool teachers and IA aides. So future plan is if we continue to grow Cooper Doodle, then we would need to hire additional staff. But right now with the current staffing, she's able to cover all 5 of the classes.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. Not to add 6 classes, to have a total of 6 classes. Because I thought with the future thing was next year to have a total of 6 classes at Meyer Holtz. 4 of the current 4 classrooms that are currently there and adding on 2 additional.
I believe it's 5.
Is it?
I would double check. I can go back and
Okay.
double check on that.
But so because it's at one site with the rescheduling, then we can do it with less?
That is the planning for it, yes. And still meet all compliance.
Oh, in terms of comment, I do want people to know that the budget committee that I am on, we didn't finish our meeting, and this specific plan for the RIF was not there. And then I agree with Jerry, this is the first time when I first looked at it, the agenda Monday night, I was like, oh, this is the first time seeing it. I do like the idea that we already have a meeting agendized for March 4th on Tuesday. And I support the idea of adding this on. The ask of Superintendent Yao is, you know, how should we look at this? And I think, and I would like the staff to consider looking at the number of management positions that are in the certificated area, and looking at the positions that are at the district office. Since we've had such a large reduction of students, I think I remember we were having discussions in the past when we were looking at budget that there's been an increase of management, even though we have a decreased number of students. So, and typically management earns more than a certificated teacher, but even, or certificated non-administrator, and even more so than someone coming from classified as well. So, I mean, those are the things that I would put forward, is to examine that and where we can save money, maybe look at you know, we've had accumulation of more and more contract work. Can that be saved if we turn that into a full-time position, or I don't know, working the magic, but and also letting people know that the budget committee wanted to meet before the second interim, and from what I hear from Superintendent Yao, that wasn't possible, but going forward, I think we're gonna make a huge attempt of trying to have the budget committee meet so that we actually have a discussion and not seeing things for the first time, and before it comes to the board for an interim report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ava. And Law, any comments?
Okay, yeah, I have some comments and say, well, it's always hard for we to lay off real people. And so I would like to say in the future, I would like to see, say, we be more cautious on the hiring part, and to say when we see there's less work, and then we start to combine, and instead of later on we start to do those hard decisions. And so we would like to see more observed during the school year. And I mean, say when we do hiring and we do more cautious, and we always ask, can this job be absorbed? And instead of hiring more, and so then we can at least get less of we do not have enough job work for this person. So yeah, that's my comment.
Thanks, Law. I think for me, I would like to see if it's procedurally possible to have this come back during a special meeting, just so we vote on this during second reading. I think a lot of what Ava said in terms of looking for some of these savings in other places is add a +1 to that. I do understand it is difficult. She did mention something about magic, but I would like to see if we could, you know, just really take a look at that in terms of yeah, I think just, yeah, let's maybe have this come back. So I don't have any specific asks for changes at this moment, but it's, yeah. Okay.
Can I bring up one thing, because this is really going to affect us in terms of we were going to meet with CSEA on March 4th after this, and that was we banged the schedules together to try to get this time so we could meet with them, and that was the only available time. They had their labor rep was gone. She had to call in a favor to have another labor rep there. So I mean, logistically, that's going to be issue. I mean, for us to meet the March 15th deadline.
Again, and as a clarification, I don't foresee us coming back next Tuesday with a different list. If the direction is you want us to find some additional cuts other places, we could bring that back next Tuesday if we're able to identify. Those would be in addition to these. You know, I'm hearing some interest in having us look at certificated management. We could still do that, but I don't foresee this list changing drastically. Because we have built this into the second interim. And again, layoff notices, this just gives us the ability to move forward. We can always change and rehire people or bring them back. But once we miss that March 15th, we cannot come forward and lay off. And so these would be employees built into the budget for the next school year. And that would require us to come back and find some programs and services that we would have to cut to make our budget moving forward.
Clarification. So you said that even if you find some new positions elimination, this will not change. Means like what? Like those numbers would be added with that, or that is for the future discussion, or what is that?
I'm not sure at this point, because when we went through this entire process, you know, we have been looking at all the different areas. And so when we brought this forward, this was the areas that we had been able to identify. So if that's the will of the board, then we would have to go back and we would start the process over again and go back through all of our programs, all of our positions, and see where else we could do some trimming. So we would just repeat our activity again to see if there's some other places, another layer to look.
But I think time sensitive part of it, but I think yeah, if that helps to rehire, that'll be good. But
it's never a fun time of year. I want to acknowledge that, because we're talking about people here. Even if it's a 30-minute or an hour, it's people, and they are it's somebody's livelihood, and I do want to acknowledge that.
So I do understand the logistics and the scheduling on March 4th. But we meet on March 3rd. I guess I just really something about kind of just seeing it and then just voting on it bothers me a little, to be honest. I do understand timing don't work out and people aren't available. If that's what it is, then that's what it is. But
I'll be willing to change my plans to meet earlier if we need to.
you can have multiple special meetings.
No, not multiple, but like move.
The March 4th meeting?
Yeah.
Start? Or whatever.
Whatever works. I mean, like, that's something that Mike was talking about in terms of the negotiations.
I just, it seems really hard to be able, because you have to, you take all these positions, then I mean, I don't know, if we had to,
Can you
have
schedule your meeting to March 5th is the question.
reschedule
What's happening for your March 4th meetings?
No.
That's why I was
That's
offering
why she
that
said
we could,
third.
we can meet before, but I don't know. We haven't heard from the other
We
members.
haven't sent the announcement out yet, right? So
I know we have to do a 24-hour notice for special board
right,
meetings.
right. So March third.
So we have time.
March third.
That'll be tomorrow.
Monday?
Tomorrow will be Friday, so Friday will be the notification.
Sunday night, or, yeah, Sunday night.
Oh, is it
We're
not?
talking about
posted?
having a meeting on the third
On the
and
third.
voting or not voting on the third.
Right, and that way you can then have a board decision going on the meeting on the fourth. So.
I mean, yeah.
Easier for us to move the board meeting, I think it is than for you to. So is that?
We have
where
less
are?
moving parts than you do, I think.
I know it's more work for you guys, sorry.
Yeah,
5, 6 o'clock, same time, same time.
that's better than trying to find another meeting date. That was all we could
Chris,
get.
does that work for your staff to move to a Monday, or do we need to keep the Tuesday meeting as well?
We'll make it work. We just have to go live with all the final stuff. 24 hours prior.
So we post it Sunday at 4.
Okay. Yeah, Saturday.
Right. Sorry, Chris, I guess you'll lose 24 hours on this. I appreciate the indulgence first. March third, then it sounds like.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll change.
Okay, well, what time is it? Same place.
5 p.m.
5
5 p.m. Okay.
in person here.
It's in person here.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Do we have public comments on this item?
We do not have any comments that were submitted on time for this agenda item.
Okay, thank you. Then we can move on then, folks. Okay, seeing, all right, then we're done with item 12.1, 12.2, thank you. 12.3, to similar item, certificate employees. Same pattern, I presume, Mike, list, et cetera, et cetera.
Same pattern.
No, but we need to make a motion again too.
Sure.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I second for the discussion.
I'm sorry, just someone second?
Yeah.
Oh,
second.
long, thank you. Okay, all right, anything to share here on Mike?
Okay, so. I mean, this is this is a little easier to illustrate.
Mhm.
These are reductions of one full-time equivalent and then a period here, and 2 periods there. And these are 100% based on student needs. And so, you know, as we're, and this is taking into consideration the class sizes that we have, our goals up for, and so these are excess positions based on student needs. The instructional coach was part of the team that we put together and that didn't necessarily get any traction. So that seemed like a place to pick up some, you know, some funds that were not needing to be spent at that time. So this is, and it equates to 1.8 FTE.
Thank you. Questions? I'll go down the road here. Satish, anything?
No, I think questions are very similar, so I think pretty much say I don't have anything specific for this.
Okay, Ava?
Yeah, in terms of, I understand the instructional coaches are either used for the beginning teacher support
That's a different one.
That's a different, so
Yeah.
this is the teaching where you're in the classroom, you're helping a teacher improve their teachings.
Part of it. I mean, Allison
Okay.
could explain it better than I can.
Yeah, Allison.
Hi, yes, we do have a team of instructional coaches, so we think we can continue to meet all of the needs with the remaining staff, and we'll be working on shoring up that plan, you know, and don't want to share too many details because of the privacy aspect of the people affected, but we do think that we can meet the needs with the remaining team members.
Did we have a reduction of the need of the reduction in the need of instructional coaches, like by the teachers or the nature of personnel needs of having an instructional coach?
Yes, it's not related to new teacher support, but yes, there's less of a need than we anticipated, for this year. So we think that we can, shrink the team a little bit and still meet all the needs.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ava. Long, any questions?
Okay, yeah, first of all, I think we, remember we, expanded the, say, the middle school electives and avoided 18, certificate teacher, reduction, right? And so this is, beyond that, so, right, so it's additional reduction based on our students' enrollment drop. Is that right?
So the 1.8, the 0.8 is composed of hours of so there's a reduction in PE, a reduction in math, a reduction in Spanish. So based on student enrollment, there was no longer the need to have a teacher that taught that many classes.
Okay.
Did I hear you right? This is not in addition.
So
This is it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I see. So this is driven by the enrollment.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't have any questions, so thanks. Any comments from folks on this?
So this is also going to come along with that, or we are voting for this?
That would be based on direction of your support that you would like to have it come back.
Yeah. So sounds like you guys okay coming back on the third? Just like the other item? All right.
Okay, with that, can I continue making a comment? I'm not sure if you're done with your.
No, I
comments.
had only that.
Okay.
Please go ahead, Ava.
Okay, I think as a whole in respective and zooming out as a county, that we are in a less hard decision than the other board members, our fellow board members in the other districts where they have $20 million or more, 30 or $50 million where they have to cut a lot and also close down schools. And I think that has to do with a tribute to where a few years ago where we did have to consolidate John Muir and close down Ragnar and Meyerholtz where we are now. So that we're not deficit spending that much. $20 million compared to 2 is good. It is hard, but I feel lucky that we're not in the worst position. I agree with Satish and bringing this back to our March 3rd Monday emergency or 24-hour meeting.
Yeah, I agree to bring it back as well.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Bring this one back?
Yes, please. Yeah. Okay, do we have any I'm sorry, Long, did you have other comments? Okay, and I'm good. So public comments on
Yes,
here?
we have one public comment.
Okay.
San Rao,
Wow, okay.
you should be able to unmute yourself
See
now.
a hand up here, so.
Yeah, good
hopefully
evening,
that's-
Jerry and the board. Hopefully you can hear me. I did
Yes, we
submit
can.
the comment card at the same time for 12.2, but I was not recognized, so I don't understand the difference between the timing for submission for 12.2 was 12.3, but nonetheless, let me get to the comments here. I do encourage the board to make hard decisions. You do not want to miss the March 15th deadline and then end up cutting services, programs, or even worse, larger cuts for schools. And so these are cuts that are necessary. I do agree with what Ava said. The more meaningful, larger cuts need to come out of the management roles. If I look at even in the classified, and I understand this is 12.2 and not 12.3, but just making a general comment that cutting student-facing services and student-facing staff members is most impactful. Cutting facilities maintenance is most impactful. I encourage you to look at non-service providing, non-frontline staff so that those impacts are minimized to the community of students and to the infrastructure and facilities that we operate. So I would urge you to look at management roles, as Ava said, and look for cuts there. I looked at the budgets and we've got, as I expected, a significant amount in clerical office and management roles, and hopefully that's an area that you can look at. The other thing I want to point.
All right, thank you. Okay, one comment, right, Aaron?
Correct.
This was 1 minute 30 seconds.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that because the timer was set for public comments not on the agenda, on the regular agenda,
Ah,
it's the board's.
Okay, hey,
Oh, I didn't even look at the time.
San, if you're still there, get it, or get another 90 seconds. I see his hand. Let's, come on back, San. You have another 90 seconds.
Thank you. I would argue I probably need twice the time because of the not being recognized for 12.2, but let me just get back real quick. So I would encourage you to make hard cuts. I would encourage you to not delay. These meetings should not result in further cuts on programs. And I hope you will look at non-student impacting services and non-infrastructure impacting services. The other thing that Jerry said earlier about one-time spend, if there's things you can do with one-time spend that you can retract and roll back, and that helps improve your reserves. The reserves hopefully help to give you more contingency funds that you can use as well. But please do make these cuts, and please look at top level positions. And the last comment I had was at the budget report that I see, I don't see administrative broken out at the top level. You have to go down several tables down before you start seeing by role, what is the spend. And it would be good at the top level where you look at classified, certified, to also include administrative as a breakout if possible. Thank you. That's all I had.
All right, thank you, Sam. All right, so we'll go ahead and exit item 12.3, going to section 13. We have 4 consent items tonight. Could I get a motion, please? Thank you, Long. In a second.
I'll second.
Thanks, Satish. Roll call vote.
Trustee Zhao,
Aye.
trustee Chow,
Aye.
trustee Madhato,
Aye.
trustee Lu.
Aye. Thank you. All right, section 14, board activities and committee reports. Anybody have anything they'd like to share? Don't think, yeah, it's like a school holiday, so. Oh, so go ahead, Ava. Sorry.
No,
It's a long
school
time.
holiday. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah, this morning I waited the central kitchen with Nicole.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right, yeah, it's always fun. I don't have anything either, so, okay, and then section 15, agenda setting. Does anybody have anything to propose for a future agenda item? No?
No.
Okay. All right, then we'll return back to
Wait,
public.
I have
Oh,
a
I'm sorry.
question.
Oh, go ahead.
It might be a future agenda item depending, ed code regarding, or our board policies regarding harassment, is that gonna be coming up soon?
So our plan is we're still scheduled for the board advance. We'll be bringing forward all of
So
our
that'll be in
policies
there.
as a
Yeah, yeah.
global policy adoption. So they will be there and you'll have access to all 600 of them.
Do we have access? I'll ask the logistical stuff later, but thank you.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, at this point then, we'll return back to public comments, section 8. And Aaron, if you could just continue the process, please.
Yes, and I just wanted to remind everyone the policies, the policies around public comment. So comment cards are called when they are submitted prior to the board bringing forward the agenda item.
Okay, thank you.
The first speaker is Chandra Sakhival, followed by Wenjin Zhao, followed by Rob Zimmerman.
My name is Chandrasekhar Sakhival. So I live in Cupertino. So I'm also a parent of CUSD. I'm speaking myself in my day. So this is just about my experience. So I've been grown up way back in India. Okay, so I was inspired by science. That's the only factor make me to come here to live in this country. And just want to call out here. And I really appreciate all the opportunities provided by Cupertino School District and board in the Kennedy Middle School. Okay, so it's enlightening for all the kids. And the experience they go through on Science Olympiad is great. Okay, so and also I just want to bring out, I myself is a research scholar. So when I teach science for my lot of kids.
So when I was teaching science to my kid, he asked some question which I cannot answer. So eventually we reached out to NASA. He got an appreciation letter for his question. So that level of science is what this opportunity provides, right? So basically my request is, please don't stop Kennedy Science Olympiad, especially for this year. Don't make these kids to be a victim of this investigation. Please consider, find out the way forward. Okay, let's take it to other issues as adult, find out a way to solve that as a long term. But for short term, don't make these kids and their inspiration of science it get killed. Obviously, I still not informed my kid. I don't know how to tell them. Okay, it's one of the worry. I reached out a lot of people. In fact, I reached out to you guys as well. Please consider. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Wan-Jan Zhu. If you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. I do not see them. The next speaker is Rob Zimmerman. Following Rob will be Andy Liu.
You're no doubt aware of the resolution affirming support of students and families regarding LGBTQ+ protections at school, approved unanimously by the Santa Clara County Office of Education on February 5. It affirms that despite attempts in the executive branch to unilaterally change it, the law is on the side of protecting trans students and faculty. Title IX prevents discrimination on the basis of many factors, including gender identity. Trans protections under Title IX have been explicitly affirmed by the Supreme Court. The resolution also invokes the many California laws which further specify protections and rights for LGBTQ+ students and faculty. Federal law and state law are on the side of protecting trans students and faculty. SCCOE has given you the template. You only need to follow their example. And I can appreciate your reticence to publicly affirm the simple legal rights of trans students and faculty. I too witnessed as many people sought loudly and angrily to erase a teacher and who sought loudly and angrily to assert that my beautiful and precious child shouldn't have the right to be themselves at school. It would be wrong to say that those people have lost interest in the well-being of students or faculty in this district because it's clear by their persistent absence since the fall that it was never about students and faculty in this district. For them, it was issue activism detached from real people. As Elie Wiesel said in 1986, neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Andy Liu. Andy, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. I do not see Andy. The next speaker is Rajesh Anapilali.
Hey guys, my name is Rajesh Anapillai. So about 12-year volunteer in scouting, 9-year volunteering in Project Cornerstone, like I see it, and 7 years in Science Olympiad, right? This goes on to say that we are a huge community, and a lot of them are here, right? And we are a huge community. We strongly believe that we can solve a problem. And these kids look up to you guys, that you guys are problem solvers, and telling them that you would delay it by 6 months, right? There is no confidence in these kids, right? Because 6 months is too long. So I urge you, I represent this community, I urge you to consider, to commit to collaborating with us in the next 48 hours. Right? We can together create a framework where we can be a win-win situation where we can keep the Science Olympiad going now, right? In 48 hours, right? Not 6 months. Why I am talking about 6 months, right? So I will give you a simple sample size of the last 6 months of my own kid's journey in Science Olympiad. He had a choice and he took the choice. He had a choice to spend time with his grandmom who recovered from cancer. She's a cancer survivor. He had a choice to spend time with his grandmom. He chose to stay back and spend time in Science Olympiad, right? And I'm not talking about this one kid. This is just one kid story with one grandparent. And there are like 135 kids here who sacrificed. We're not talking about the vacation. We are talking about like some of the key precious moments that they could spend with the family just so that they can have the best experience in Science Olympiad. So I urge you to consider it. Thank you.
The next speaker is Parveen Patel, followed by Sharon Larson.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for the time. So I understand the position you're all put in, due to this investigation, you have to take action. But some of the information you put out in the FAQ seems incorrect. You said that the head coach has to be an employee of the district. That's not true. Like Rajesh said, I think we as parents, there's hundreds of us here. We have a petition signed by all of us. We can elect a new coach and abide by the rules of the tournament of the district and get this done. That this doesn't have to go to next year, right? This can be done now. So we're urging you to work with us. We'll create a fair process, a framework, a set of bylaws that, you can all look at that. And all we are asking for is follow those and then approve the roster, right? These kids, we have data from like 30 tournaments these kids have gone to. You can pick them based on merit, a framework that we can all agree to. So this is not, that complicated. I think the rules are clear of the tournament and the district, and we can follow them. Many volunteers here who are willing to, become the head coach. We can unanimously elect one or whoever the board prefers. So I think that's my plea. We can get this done if we all agree to.
Thank you. The next speaker is Sharon Larson. Sharon, go ahead, Sharon. Sharon, you should be able to unmute yourself and speak.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sharon Larson, and I'm an elective teacher at Kennedy Middle School. I've been with the district for 15 years. I'm speaking on behalf of Kennedy electives. At Kennedy, we offer 22 different and varied electives, including several courses that are only offered at 1 or 2 sites in the district. We're proud of what we offer. There are many problems with the recent rollout of our 2 electives per student program. We've missed an opportunity to add electives in a structured way across all middle school. There's been no additional staffing for the increased student requirements. Since not all teachers can teach all electives, many issues have occurred. New students can't just be absorbed by the existing elective teachers, so other teachers have been used instead. This creates issues with the equity between classes. In some cases, we're seeing increased class sizes that are simply too large for effective teaching, supervision, and safety. Elective classes must ask for donations from our parents to help cover the majority cost of the elective materials and programs needed in order to deliver our curriculum. There are also challenges and delays with purchasing items for basic classroom supplies, causing delays that adversely affect both student and teacher. As such, the current purchasing process doesn't offer the level of flexibility to obtain necessary supplies in a timely manner. So what are our asks? We'd like to have the decisions made about our elective offerings based on our teacher staffing, teacher credentialing, and what's best for students. We'd like an easier way to purchase our consumables and large ticket items, and we'd like to have staffing and budget funding.
The next speaker is Heather Ruderskold. Heather, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. Go ahead, Heather.
Hi, I'm a parent in our district. I have a high schooler that's now a senior and an 8th grader that both were at Kennedy. And I just wanted to start by saying that I really am grateful for the wonderful teachers they've had all throughout their career in CUSD. And I also appreciate that my 8th grader this year had an opportunity to have 2 electives, which I feel is really great and really adds to her education. But there have just been some problems with it. And so I just wanted to share that I really feel like mixing all of the grade levels for the electives is not allowing them to grow their skills like they could if they were allowed to specialize. I also feel like the classes are being just filled based on numbers instead of student needs, which is also creating some staffing issues where both core teachers and elective teachers are not really being utilized in the best way or in ways that they're qualified. So while I think that having 2 electives is really a fantastic option, I just want to make sure, because it's really crucial that they are properly organized and funded to ensure their effectiveness. I just do not want electives to be seen as last minute extras that just fill schedules, because they are really vital parts of a student's day. And for my own kids, this was some of the best parts of their days with teachers that they really made connections with and that they remembered far after they left their classrooms. And I want all kids to have that same experience going forward. Thank you.
The next speaker is Ximing Yu.
Oh, hello, good evening. Yeah, I'm Xiaomi Yu. I'm a parent of Kennedy Middle School kid. My son is in the 6th grade and doing Science Olympia, and my daughter is actually in the 9th grade and she's returning for the Science Olympia this year as well. So I want to clarify a few misinformation that is used by superintendent, which leads to the wrong decision. Okay, based on the SO rules, it clearly says a parent can volunteer to be the head coach. So the school or head coach doesn't have to be a staff of the CUSD. Okay, so as a community here, we are in the process of electing a head coach and also a committee to have a fair and a transparent process to select the team members. They only ask that we want to the district and the superintendent is just to approve the head coach and also certify the roster of the team. The decision based on the wrong information leads to the pain everybody is suffering today. I urge the board to understand the rule correctly and make the right decision. We're willing to work with you to solve the issue in the next couple of days. You can trust us that we will nominate a coach and the committee just as we voted for the board here. Yeah, thank you.
The next speaker is Doris Chang, followed by Lu Chen, followed by Beth Hawthorne.
Hi, good evening, CUSD board members. My name is Doris. I'm here today because we need your immediate support to reopen Kennedy Middle School Science Olympia. Since joining, I have witnessed incredible dedication and passion. These kids push themselves to learn more, achieve more, and dream bigger. That's why it's absolutely heartbreaking to hear that CUSD has decided to shut down Kennedy Science Olympia with little transparency and no explanation to the family. Our kids keep asking, why can't we do Science Olympia anymore? And the worst part is we have no answer. That's why I'm here today. I want to show my kids that when you face a problem, you don't just shut it down, cover it up, or pretend it doesn't exist. You find a solution right away. These kids can be the future scientists, doctors, engineers, and innovators who will shape the world. And Science Olympia is where they take their first steps towards the dream. Next, let's not be the ones to close the door on their future. Please don't take this opportunity away from them. We are a group of passionate, dedicated students and parents who love STEM and learning. As you heard earlier, we have come up with a few proposals, and we are ready to work with you to find a way to reopen Kennedy Science Olympia right away. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. The next speaker is Lee Chen. Lee, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand.
Hi, Superintendent and the dear board members. My name is Li Chen. I'm a parent of 2 team members of in Kennedy's Science Olympia, which was abruptly suspended this week. So we strongly believe that penalizing the students who are not involved in the investigation is unjust and detrimental to their emotional well-being, academic performance, and the future opportunities. These students, they deserve the same fair opportunity to compete as their peers in other CUSD schools. The district is unfairly punishing innocent students rather than addressing the problems in a way that ensures the fairness and the due process. We respectfully urge the district to reconsider this decision and explore alternative solutions, such as, like other parents already mentioned, finding a coach and a process for team selection. And so these students, they can go compete and, instead of have all that years of work and effort wasted. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Beth Hawthorne. Beth, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. I do not see Beth. The next speaker is
Um,
I'm sorry, I
what-
didn't hear
what's
the
what's
question.
protocol? The protocol, could someone read a letter for someone who submitted a card? What was the
I believe
procedure?
the person is supposed to be here, but we wouldn't know who that person is, so. We do receive all of the comments if they are submitted in writing, the board and it does receive them as do I, if they
Send
are
them to
read or
write, yeah.
spoken in.
okay. The next speaker is Padmajar Ramashadaran, followed by Haley Juarez.
Hi, my name is Padmaraj Ramachandran. My son is a member of the Kennedy Science Olympiad team. I wanted to speak about a couple of points that had come up regarding the Science Olympiad team formation. One is regarding the fairness of the selection of the team, and the other is regarding the equity of opportunity. So on the fairness of selection of team, he has been doing it for 2 years, and we request for some events that we were interested in participating. So we do not really get all the events that we want, but we are not rejected for all the events that we want either. So we get a fair balance of opportunity to compete in the topics that is of interest to us. So I believe if you look at how the process was done, you would see that it's been balanced as far as possible. So I would request you to kind of consider that in the issues that you are bringing up. Now, in terms of equity, so what we are trying to do here is we are trying to make sure that kids pick up an interest in the science, right? And when they are picking it up, it's not really important on how they pick up or what they pick up. Once they pick it up, then they can start running on their own. So the equity is in making that decision that yes, I want to do this, so that over time I build up confidence to do science and then kind of go to that path. So that's a decision that the parent and the kid make. So we need to kind of understand that there is equity in the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Following Haley will be Alexandra Shumakova.
All right, I am reading this on behalf of Diana Brzezowski, who is an elected teacher at Cupertino Middle School. All parts of education have their part to play in the success of the whole child. The elected programs give students a chance to explore new subjects and interests. This year, I asked all of my students the same question: what is a cause worth fighting for? With the responses of over 150 students, topics covered everything from our earth, our mental health, equity in education, hunger, and poverty. After great debate, we decided to focus on how to use our voice in the performing arts to fight for our earth. In August, students brainstormed ideas for what they are really passionate about. After a monologue unit, the students were inspired and refreshed. They chose to write and produce their own musical play about taking care of Earth's natural resources, touching on science and social studies curriculum from elementary and middle school units. With the help of familiar characters and a desire to share this with younger audiences, the students asked if we could share a presentation with the elementary schools. Appropriate and relevant for all TK through 5th grade students, with the support of my principal, we reached out to feeder elementary schools and have performed for 2 schools already and 1 more next week. This project was 100% student driven. I merely served as a sounding board. This elective has shown students that learning can be fun and meaningful at the same time. Please continue to support our programs by allocating professional development time and money to find workshops and conferences relevant to our subject areas in order to plan creative, open-ended projects such as this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alexandra, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. I do not see Alexandra. Our next speaker is Yumana Said. Yumana, go ahead and unmute yourself. We're unable to hear you. Yamuna, if you can unmute yourself.
Looks unmuted, but there's no sound.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're unable to hear you at this time. We'll be going to the next speaker. The next speaker is Xiao Huan Yang. Go ahead and unmute yourself and speak.
Hi, thank you, the board and superintendent, for this opportunity for me to speak. CUSD has wrapped up an investigation addressing the parent allegation of the Dealworth TK teacher, who was alleged to push gender fluid activism in the TK classroom. The district spent a whole lot of money, close to $1 million, for a third party to investigate, and the investigation unfortunately confirmed many allegations. However, the conclusion was the teacher did not violate any school district policy or laws. One of the confirmed act was the teacher only provided colorful dresses for the boys in the classroom, and here are the quoted explanation. The first explanation was the teacher, quote, brought in hand-me-downs from their child, so there may have been more dresses than masculine wear for the kids. Basically says the teacher took clothes from home, so they did not have dresses for play dresses for boys. The second reason, quote, there the other TK teacher explained that it was also easier to find dresses for kids at thrift stores than traditional boys' clothes. Wow, how ridiculous. The third quote, further, the TK students were allowed to go into both.
The next speaker is Livia Van. Following Livia will be Jenny Zhu.
Thank you so much, school board members. I'm Livia Van. I'm speaking on behalf of the Kennedy Science Olympiad team. Thank you for earlier explaining that you consider complaints seriously. So please consider the complaints of the families with kids whose lives you will be ruining by failing to consider an immediate way to move forward so that they can finish off the season at the regional, state, and national levels. I can tell you these kids will not quickly recover from this callous decision, and they will suffer permanent psychological harm. I want to reiterate what prior parents have said, that if you have an ongoing investigation with our coach or a problem with our coach, we're ready to appoint an interim coach. If you're questioning the legitimacy of the merit-based composition of the current gold team, we can provide records of their performance at all the invitationals this season. We're not asking for funds or for financial support. We're willing to immediately cooperate so that these kids can attend the competitions that they have sacrificed so much for. Tell us what you need, because if not, with your refusal to compromise, you're acknowledging that this board will take responsibility for the permanent emotional harm done to these 15 students. March 1st is our deadline. I hope you make the right decision. Thank you.
The next speaker is Jenny Zhu. Jenny, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. The next speaker is Shilpa Aurora. Shilpa, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. Go ahead, Shilpa.
Hi, yeah, we joined this year's Science Olympiad as a sixth grader, and I just wanted to say that the learning our students got was very valuable to us, and this sudden decision, although we are not in gold team, so we're not going to go to national or anything, but I really feel sad that all those students really worked hard, and taking away this chance from them doesn't feel fair. So I hope you can do something about it by having an interim coach or something. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jack Gann. Jack, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. I do not see Jack. The next speaker is Junxia Ma. Following Junxia is Uma Krishnan.
Hi, board members. I'm a parent, so also Kennedy's Olympia team, sixth grader. So I want to share some of my personal story. like we moved to Cupertino area last summer, because my son know there's a very strong Science Olympia team here, and he loves the Science Olympia. Since we joined the team, and he has very great experience, he loves learning with his team member and also travel with the team. And so suddenly, like this week, because of the news, I feel the district and the school don't have a backup plan and suddenly suspend all the activity. So the kids are very disappointed, and as parents, we are also very disappointed. So we came here because we know Kennedy is good at this, and we choose come to this public school instead of going to the private school. And this disappointed all the parents, and also I know some of my friends moved here recently, and also some of my friends plan to move here recently. They all feel very disappointed. So I feel like the school and the district should have a plan before they will make such decision. You should not interrupt the students. You should let them to, because they spend thousands or tens of thousands of hours studying and preparing for the test, especially for the 8th grade. They spend 3 years learning, preparing, but now for the regional test, they cannot attend because of this decision, because of the consideration of the district.
The next speaker is Uma Krishnan. Following Uma will be David Tang.
Hello, I'm Uma Krishnan. I'm also a parent of a kid, Kennedy kid who's going for Science Olympiad, 6th grader. I'm here to talk for everyone. My kid is not in a gold team going nationals, but I want to talk about so many kids and what is happening to them right now. I urge to put mental health and welfare of the students more than anything else. Please give us another option than saying these kids can be in agony, depressed, feel unfair for all the hard work they have done. There is a problem, you see. Let's work on short-term and long-term solution. This painful outcome is thrown on us and the kids suddenly for no reason that the kids have done. They have worked diligently. They have worked so hard. As parents, we have supported them in every way. This is not fair to us. Please do something for us right now so that these kids can take this opportunity, and for all the preparation they have done, let them go to the regionals and do their fair. Right now, what we feel is you're saying that you're hearing us, but you're not giving us any options and saying that you cannot do anything for us. So we really feel like we are not really heard. Please listen to our agony as well as what we are going through. Please do something for us right now. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is David Tang. David, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. I do not see David. Our next speaker is Mankata Venkatsawaran.
Hi, you've heard from all of the parents. I'm Minaka. I've had 2 kids, one through the Science Olympiad program and one who's currently in there. So all I'd like to request is you're hearing from us, but we would like to hear from you all also. So I would like to request a school committee meeting where we could have a dialogue. And then I will let our students speak who've been waiting here on a school day. So I'll concede the rest of the time to them. Thank you.
The next speaker is Trupti Rambal. Trupti, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. Go ahead, Trupti.
Yeah, hi. This is the first year that my child is in Kennedy Middle School's Science Olympiad, and the learnings that she has had over the year have been encouraging, and it has helped her move out of her shell. And I'm really discouraged at the lack of dialogue and the decision that has been imposed on these children. So I would really request the board to please reconsider your decision, and maybe we can all sit together and have a dialogue and move ahead with a solution that is fair for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is June G.
Board members, my name is Junji.
So we had the news about the pass of the Kennedy Science Olympiad program a few days back. So we feel very shocked. So we do, as many parents already mentioned, we do urge you guys to reconsider your decision to make all these students feel, as I read from the website, to make all the Kennedy students feel valued, supported, and empowered by the district. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Derek Liu.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for having me speak on behalf of the Science Olympiad students. My name is Derek Liu, and I stand before you as a dedicated Science Olympiad student for 4 years since 6th grade, who has invested countless hours into this program. When I heard the news that Science Olympiad was going to be shut down, I felt speechless, shocked, devastated, and lost. I can confidently say on behalf of our community that Science Olympiad is almost like a second home, which fosters our creative thinking and teaches us to be problem solvers. It fuels our passion for STEM, teaches us resilience, and inspires us to innovate like nothing else ever has. We have a very important competition coming up in 2 weeks, and we need your support. All our students have been working very hard for years, and to take that effort away is plain and simple unjust. Science Olympiad is not just about competition, but is about community. I've experienced this firsthand, and I've made lifelong memories and friends that look forward to Science Olympiad every day. Please don't take away our opportunities, dreams, and most importantly, our community. Your district claims that it provides a child-centered environment that cultivates character, fosters academic excellence, and embraces diversity. Yet here we are, watching that promise crumble before our very eyes. Every hour of hard work and every dream we've nurtured in Science Olympiad is being discarded as you decide to strip away the opportunity for us to grow, explore, and excel. By preventing us participating this year, you are not only breaking your promise, but also betraying the trust you're meant to uphold. You, the very institution that should inspire us, are telling us that our dedication and our dreams mean nothing.
The next speaker is Tejaswini Renade. Go ahead, Tejaswini.
Respected members of CUSD board staff and community, I'm Tejaswini Ranade, French teacher at Hyde and Lawson Middle Schools, and I've been in the district for 18 years now. I'm here on behalf of the elective teachers and especially the French program. First of all, thank you for doing all you're doing for my students to succeed. For example, funding the National French Contest, organized by the American Association of Teachers of French, where a lot of my students from both schools participate and win a lot of prizes on the national and state levels. Thank you for a brand new curriculum this year that we adopted. And best of all, thank you for offering 2 electives to all the students for starting next year. That's amazing. Thank you so much. However, I would like to talk about 2 of my concerns. One of them is having a large language class. In a foreign language class, we have to teach them how to read, write, speak, and listen. And if we have a lot of students in the class, it's hard to get them to do all of that in a single 50-minute class period. So I would like to request, can we have smaller classes, at least for foreign languages? A second suggestion that I had was, can we have a language wheel for 6th graders starting next year, where they can explore, say, French for 1 semester and Spanish for another semester, and then they can then choose wisely when they have to pick a language in 7th or 8th grade. I have sent you a long email with all the things that I'm grateful for and some of my concerns. I'm hoping that we'll go through them and then help protect the French program in the district. Thank you so much.
Next speaker is Ram Singh, followed by Anna Reed.
I'm Father Victoria Singh. In the 8th grade educated student. I want to assure you that lack of understanding today will have long-lasting damage for my son. Decision to solve next year will shatter his dream and impact his resolve to compete and win. Emotional scar that it leaves has long-lasting javels for my child. Today morning, first thing that he wakes up in the morning, ma'am, and he asks this question, why superintendent of the school doesn't want me to compete?
Ma'am, I'm sure this is not the thing you want to have in the students in your school community. But that's the question he's asking. I don't know how to answer that question. We have elected this board to make a right decision and safeguard our kids' dream. I would urge to consider if it were your own child and you were having this conversation in the first thing in the morning, the emotions that will run in your mind and the feeling that will have, imagine those feelings and try to answer this question to this child. I don't know. You have to help me with that. The feeling that I'm having, I'm sure you will find a path. You have found a path before. Many issues may have come your way and you have find the resolve to solve it. Ma'am, I'm sure you will find that resolve to solve this issue. I'm urging you all to consider it and try to figure out within next 2-3 days. We can sit down, we can solve it. We have solved bigger problem. This is much smaller problem for all of us to solve. We voted to make sure that your dream as a board member is successful. I'm asking to make sure my kid's dream is also successful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, fellow trustees, executive cabinet, and everybody listening. I'm gonna not repeat the concerns that my other electives teachers have already voiced with the new 2 elective for all students, the adoption that's coming up, and also the future of the transitions/SEL class for 6th graders. You all sat at the CSBA AEC listening to the keynote speaker, Lisa Santos, talk about how people are more creative and productive when they are happy. She talked of making people feel respected and heard, and that if your workforce feels a strong sense of belonging and that their work has meaning, they feel appreciated, they will go above and beyond without resistance or request. The path to propel us to innovative practices is to invite the frontline workers to the table when plans are being made in which they will be expected to carry out. You want teachers to be creative in how to develop authentic, rigorous, and relevant learning experiences despite all the constraints on a daily basis. Teachers are tasked to repeatedly make magic happen, yet often when we want to collaborate to find creative solutions to problems that directly concern us, we are met with a wall of not possible. All 5 middle schools are unique, and we should all be able to advocate what is best for our students, communities, staff, and facilities. Thank you.
Thank you.
The final speaker is Rachel Lynn.
Okay, first off, I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to be up on this panel. My name is Rachel Jin. I've been a Science Olympiad alum for over 5 years. And after hearing the fact that the Science Olympiad team will be shutting down for this season, I was devastated. I want you to take a moment to look at the parents and the students that are here today. We came here today after school to advocate for our club. The amount of time and hours and years we put into this club cannot be shut down all of a sudden. You're taking away opportunities for these students. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be here for the students to allow them to learn, to grow, and to encourage them to continue to compete. This is not just a club. It's a family. It's a community. And you're taking that away from us. That is simply unjust and unfair. And as someone who's been a part of this community for so many years, I have a sister who's competing this year. It's her first year. She's only in 6th grade. I've seen her fail and cry at her first events, but also succeed when seeing her face after winning her first medal. That's something you can't learn in a classroom. To continue on and to continue to try your best to succeed. You're taking that away for these students. That's simply unfair. And that's something that the board should try to change. You're here for us. And these students aren't involved with the issue with the instructor. We should still be able to compete. You can see that we're willing to participate, to communicate with you guys. So please, I ask again, please think of the students. Please.
Thank you.
That was our final speaker.
All right, thank you, Aaron. And this point then, I'd like to thank the folks for staying after to share your comments with us. We Really do appreciate it. And at this point then, I'm going to adjourn our meeting back to closed session. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.